Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Deku was the elemental fox part 1. If you guys enjoy this what if and want to see part 2, comment down below and let me know before I start. Please do support for more awesome content and leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also share this video with your friends and check out the description in my playlist. The author of the story 𝗳𝗵𝗃 from WhatIf. So let's start the video. Prologue. 𝗳𝗵𝗃 𝗵𝗃. Today I needed to go get groceries, so I got out of my bed and grabbed clothes and took a shower. After I showered, I went to make pancakes. After I ate, I exited my cabin. I had a lot of land from when my parents died, so I sold their mansion and made a cottage in the woods. It was big enough for a few people to live in. It wasn't the safest, but it was livable. And I had enough money to live on until I can get a job. I'm pretty sure no one will hire a 13-year-old girl. Don't own the 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗁. I close the door and lock it and head to the grocery store. Time skipped purple heart. As I was walking through the alleyway after I bought groceries, I felt someone bump into me. As I looked to see who bumped into me, I see a 4 to 5-year-old girl with pale blue hair and red eyes, also a horn on her head. I noticed she was also covered in bloody bandages and dirt, so I crouched down to her height. I don't own the picture. Let's get you out of here. I hear someone coming, I said, looking at where the noise came from. As soon as she nods, I pick her up and jump to a roof and look down to see who was coming. Soon enough, I see a man with brown hair and amber eyes. He also had a bird mask. Run into the alleyway looking furious. 𝗳𝗵𝗃, get back here, he screamed furiously. I looked down to the girl in my arms, noticing that she was shaking, so I try to calm her down. 𝗳𝗵𝗃, right? I asked her to make sure that's her real name. She nods, her small body shaking from fear. Well, 𝗳𝗵𝗃, I think I could take you in. Since he's most likely a villain, he won't be able to put up missing posters or tell the police, so if I adopt you can live with me. I love kids and I live alone, so what do you say? I asked her. As soon as I saw her eye light up, I picked her back up and waited for the man to pass. After about an hour he left the area, so I jumped back down. Okay, 𝗳𝗵𝗃, let me help you with those bandages. After I checked her for any injuries, I noticed her arms and legs looked like someone sliced her skin. Come on, sweetie, let's go to your new home, I said with a smile. After an hour we got back to my cottage. I look over to 𝗳𝗵𝗃 to see her eyes gleaming with excitement. I tug her a little so we can get inside. 𝗳𝗵𝗃, tomorrow I'll order some items so we can decorate a room for you, but until then you can sleep with me, I told her, trying to get to know her. Miss, what's your name? 𝗳𝗵𝗃 asked me. I swear my heart almost exploded with her cuteness. My name's Fuji Hanami, but if you want you can call me Fu, I said, looking down at her. Okay. Fuch, she said with a small glimmer in her eyes. Let's get you cleaned up with that fall. You should be dirty. I pick her up and head to my bathroom and run the tub halfway with water. 𝗳𝗵𝗃, will you need help with anything? I asked her to make sure she knew what to do. What am I supposed to do? She tilted her head confused. I undress her and put her in the warm water. Close your eyes, 𝗳𝗵𝗃, I don't want to get shampoo in your eyes, I said with a small smile. As soon as she closed her eyes, I put some cherry blossom shampoo in her hair and scrub until the dirt was out. Okay, 𝗳𝗵𝗃, do you want apple or cherry blossom body wash? I asked her. I can choose. She looked confused. Of course you can. What has this poor girl been through? Apple please, she said. Let me grab a rag. Be right back, 𝗳𝗵𝗃. I leave the room to grab a rag and one of my old sleeping gowns from when I was 8. It may be big, but it will have to work until I can get some clothes for her. Then I grabbed some small undergarments I had from when I was her age. I kept in case I needed them. I walk back into the bathroom. I'm back, 𝗳𝗵𝗃, can you stand up so I can scrub the soap on your body? As soon as I finish, I grab the plug and pull it out of the drain. Then I pick up 𝗳𝗵𝗃 and put her on the bath mat, and then I dry off 𝗳𝗵𝗃 and help her change. Okay, are you hungry? When I asked 𝗳𝗵𝗃, her stomach growled. When she nods her head, I pick her up and head towards the kitchen again. I don't own the picture. I put 𝗳𝗵𝗃 at the island table. What do you want, 𝗳𝗵𝗃? I asked her. Surprise me please, 𝗳𝗵𝗃 squeaked. I decided to make chicken Alfredo because it's healthy and I have all the ingredients for it. So I got to work cooking. Every once in a while, I would see 𝗳𝗵𝗃 staring at the pot. Then I got an idea. Hey 𝗳𝗵𝗃, I called to her. Weiss. She looked at me. Do you want to help? Wanting to bond with 𝗳𝗵𝗃 got a bit and distract her from her thoughts. Can I? She had stars in her eyes. Of course you can. Let me get a stool, I said, happy she wanted to help. After I got a stool, I helped 𝗳𝗵𝗃 on there. Then I hand her a stirring spoon. What I need you is to stir the stuff in the pot until it bubbles, okay? I instructed her. As soon as she nodded, I grabbed the cutting board and a knife and put them on the countertop. I go to the refrigerator and grab the carrots and broccoli and head back to the cutting board. After I finished chopping up the veggies, I walk back over to 𝗧𝗓𝗧. Is it bubbling yet? I asked her. Why, yes, it just started. She looked at the pot with big eyes. God, now we need to put the veggies in and then we wait, I said after closing the lid. Really? She tilted her head. Yup, and I can show you where you can sleep tonight, I said excited. Okay, she said, trying to get off the stool. I help her off the stool and lead her to my room. Don't own the picture. But what do you think? My room was one of the few rooms that have a loft. I plan on making 𝗧𝗓𝗧's room the one next to mine. You'll be sleeping with me tonight if that's okay with you, I asked her, making sure she was comfortable enough to sleep with me. Oh, of course it's okay, you saved me, 𝗧𝗓𝗧 said, waving her hands in the air. Well, tomorrow we need to order some stuff for your new room. Let's go check on the food, I said, turning to the stairs and offering my hand to the small girl. Okay, 𝗧𝗓𝗧 took my hand and we went back to the kitchen to check the Alfredo. I take the lid off the pot to see it's done. It's done. 𝗧𝗓𝗧, do you need help off the stool? I asked her when I saw her almost fall off. Yes, please, she said, holding up her arms. After I got 𝗧𝗓𝗧 off the stool and on a table seat, I walk back to the pot and fix our plates. I don't own it. I set one of the plates in front of 𝗧𝗓𝗧. Eat what you can. I won't force you to eat if you don't want to or can't stomach it, I said, looking at her with a smile. As we both eat, I wanted to ask 𝗧𝗓𝗧 a question. Hey 𝗧𝗓𝗧, I looked over to her. Weiss? She looked up with her spoon in her mouth. What's your quirk if you have one? I asked with a calm voice. I don't know. When I was with that man, he took my BLD every day, and when I ran out he used his quirk on me to reset me, she said, flinching at the thought. My eye widened. How could some use such a precious girl for a BLD bag? Well, 𝗧𝗓𝗧, my quirk is called 𝗧𝗵𝗃, I said, flicking my ears. She looked at me very confused. What does it do? She asked, looking at my ears and tail. It allows me to transform into a four-legged fox that can use abilities. The doctor thinks that my quirk is perfect for hero work and spying, but I don't know if I should be a hero, I said with a sad smile. Why not? 𝗧𝗓𝗧 looked confused. Well, my quirk can be seen as a weak quirk, and I never have trained my quirk for battle, so if I did do the entrance exam I would be far behind. The entrance exam is about a year from now or less, but I still wouldn't make it. 𝗧𝗓𝗧 looks at me. Well, you're my hero. Why, you saved me, so I think you can be a hero, she said with sparkles in her eyes. I look at 𝗧𝗓𝗧 in awe. For a kid, she can melt my heart. Okay, then we both can train our quirks and figure yours out and I can train mine. Deal, I told her and held my pinky finger across the table. 𝗧𝗓𝗧 nodded, determined to figure her quirk out, and locked her pinky finger with mine. But tomorrow me and you need to set up your room, then I need to get you in my custody officially, and her eyes widen. Okay? She looked at her empty plate. As soon as 𝗧𝗓𝗧 yawns, I pick her up and take to my room. As I open my room door, I look at 𝗧𝗓𝗧 in my arms to realize she's asleep. I place her on my bed and go to my desk with my computer and search how to adopt a kid. Then a sheet pops up. If you want to adopt a kid you found or just want a kid, go to the police station and ask for their file, and you'll need to sign an adoption form. If you want to do it online, just call the police station and answer their questions. Sounds easy enough. After I close the tab, I head to grab my phone and dial the number. Hello, this is 𝗧𝗵𝗲. How can I help you? She asked. Hello, my name's Fuji Hanami. I'm looking to adopt a child I found. I said, okay, what's their name and I'll look for a file. 𝗧𝗵𝗲 said, her name's 𝗧𝗓𝗧. She don't know her last name. I informed him. Okay, let me see if she's in the system. 𝗧𝗵𝗲. It seems as her 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗛 wasn't recorded, there's no 𝗧𝗓𝗧 in the system, so tomorrow can you bring her to the station so we can make her a file? He asked me. Sure, but I'll need you all to keep anything sharp away from her. When I found her she had scalpel cuts, and from what she told me I think we will also need a quirk test. But preferably a hero doctor so she doesn't cry or panic, I said, worried about how 𝗧𝗓𝗧 would react to needles. Okay, we will ask of recovery girl, she may have someone with her, depends if he does not find out about this case. Okay, so tomorrow? I asked to be sure. Yes, bring her here tomorrow. I hang the call up and head to my closet and put on my nightgown. After I change, I go to my drawer and grab another blanket for 𝗧𝗓𝗧. I walk over to my bed and cover 𝗧𝗓𝗧 up, and I lay beside her pulling my cover up, and I go to sleep. Next morning when I woke up, I look over to see 𝗧𝗓𝗧 still asleep. I got out of bed and go to my closet and put on a grayish-blue sweater and a white skirt. After I change, I go to the kitchen and make some pancakes for me and 𝗧𝗓𝗧. I also put strawberries on them, a fire. I finish the pancakes. I go to my room to wake 𝗧𝗓𝗧 up. As I open my room door, I see 𝗧𝗓𝗧 still asleep. So I walk over to her and nudge her awake. Wake up, sweetie, we have a big day ahead of us, I said, smiling. What do you mean? She looked confused. The police station couldn't find your files, so we have to meet up at the station so I can adopt you. We also need to figure out how you can use your quirk. So a hero named Recovery Girl is going to check your quirk. I told her with a gentle voice, no needles, right? She squeaked out, I don't know yet, and if there is I'm sure she will be very gentle because she's a hero. I said, oh, okay, she said with an uneasy voice, now let's get you dressed. I cheered. I picked her up and go in my closet and grab one of my old outfits from my childhood. Okay, Eri, can you get dressed? While I call to see what time they want us there, I said, picking up my phone. Okay? Eri ran upstairs to get changed. I called the station again. Hello, this is Sansa, how may I help you? What time do you want me and Eri to come to the station? Will any time in the afternoon do? Yes, it will. She's getting changed, so after we eat we'll be on our way. Okay, see you soon, Naya. As the call hung up, I see Eri come out the closet in the outfit I chose for her. It was the dress that I wore the day I got my quirk, so it was special to me, but seeing her wear it makes me smile. You hungry? I made pancakes, I said, holding up the plates. She nods and goes to the kitchen table to eat. As Eri sits down, I grab my laptop and sit beside her. While we're eating, we can order stuff for your room, so what color do you want? I asked her, opening my laptop. Green. She said, okay, let's get shopping. So we spent an hour shopping for stuff and clothes, so when we finished eating I grabbed my keys. Come on, Eri, do you want to walk or do you want me to carry you? I asked her, looking down. I can walk, she said, looking determined. Okay, it's only a 20-minute walk there, so let's go. After 20 minutes later we arrive at the police station. Okay, remember what I told you, Eri? I asked her, making sure she didn't forget. Don't be afraid because you're with me. She said, yes, good job remembering, Eri. I praised her as we go, and I picked Eri up and head to the counter to see a cat person. Hello, I'm Fuji Hanami, and I'm here to finalize the adoption of Eri. I said, looking at the cat man. Oh, you sounded young over the phone, but how old are you? Are you sure you're ready to be a mom? He looked concerned. I'm positive she needs me as much as I need her. I said, looking at Eri. Okay, go to the room with 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗍𝗄 on the plate. Recovery Girl should be there too. He said, okay, thank you. I said, bowing a little since I was holding Eri. No problem. The cat person said with a smile. As me and Eri head down the hallway, I see a plate with 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗄 on it, so I knock. When I hear come in, I walk in with Eri on my hip. Hello, I'm 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗄𝗍 and you're Fuji Hanami, right? Yes, that's me, but call me Hanami. I assume you are 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗄𝗍? I asked him. Yes, I am. I also assume that the little girl is Eri. He gestured to the girl in my arms. Yes, this is Eri, I said, sitting down and putting her on my lap. Okay, I'll need you to answer some questions for me, is that all right? He asked me. Okay, I said, looking at him. First question is, how did you find each other? He narrowed his eyes at me. She bumped into me in an alleyway and she was covered in bandages, some stained with blood, I said with a frown, from the state she was in when I found her. True. Okay, second question, was there anyone with her? He looked when Eri flinched. After I heard something, I picked her up and jumped to a roof. Then a man came into the alleyway screaming her name like a madman. He definitely was not friendly. I said, remembering his scream. True. Did he have any recognizable features? He asked, grabbing a notebook. He had a plague bird mask and gloves on. He also had brown hair with amber eyes. He was probably about 170 centimeters tall, I think. I said, remembering his scary mask. True. Okay, last question, what's her quirk? He was now typing on his computer. We don't know, but it has to do with her horn, I said, looking at the now sleeping kid. True. Okay, Chio, can you check her quirk? I just realized there was another person in the room. Well, I would need a blood sample, but considering the way you found her, she'll be petrified of needles. So will you come to UA so I can get the rest done, and while you're there we can get the rest of the adoption work finished? She asked with a smile, like the UA school. I asked, knowing it was a far walk. Yes, hun, plus if you're adopting a kid I want to keep in contact with you because I always wanted to be a grandma but I never had any children. She said, frowning. Of course, here's my number, I said, handing her a piece of paper with my number on it. Perfect, now let's get to you, she said. So someone drove us to UA. It took about 30 minutes, but when we arrived at the school. Come on, dearies, she said, closing the door. As we walked down a hallway I noticed that one classroom is empty. Miss Recovery Girl. I said, unsure what to call her. Call me Chio, dear, she said, smiling. Okay, Chio, why is that classroom empty? I asked, confused. Class 1A Eraserhead must have expelled them all again, she said, sighing. Wait, you can do that? I asked, a little shocked a teacher could do that. Well, Nizu wanted Eraserhead to work here, so the condition was that he could expel anyone that didn't meet his standards or didn't qualify as a hero. Chio said like it was normal. Wow, so is 𝗬𝗍𝗂𝗧 a underground hero? I've never heard of a hero by the name 𝗬𝗍𝗂𝗧. I asked intrigued. Yes, he's a underground hero, he doesn't like the media. We're here. As we walk into her nurse office I see many machines and some hospital beds. I look over to Qiyo to see a lancet in her hand. Okay dear, can you put her on a bed? She walked over to a hospital bed. Sure. I walk over and put Eri on a bed and sit by her. Okay Eri, all you gonna feel is a pinch, okay? As soon as Eri nods, Qiyo pokes her finger and gets a drop of BLD and puts a band-aid on her finger. Let's see what kind of quirk ya got dear. She then put the BLD drop in a machine. A few minutes later Qiyo comes back with a smile. Eri, your quirk is special, she said, smiling at the pale bluish gray-haired kid. Your quirk allows you to revert living things back to their previous states. This doesn't include items or non-living things. If you train your quirk you could rewind injuries. This could be a great healing quirk. But you need to be careful with your quirk, or you could rewind someone out of existence. Qiyo said with a small smile. So Eri can rewind people? I asked, shocked. Yes dearie, she nods. What could happen if she overuses it? I wanted to know so I could be prepared. Her drawbacks are high fevers. So now do you want to start the adoption process? Yes please, I nodded. After an hour of paperwork, Eri is now known as Eri Fuji, daughter of Fuji Hanami. Thank you so much Qiyo-san, I said, grinning. No problem, and I told you to call me Qiyo, she said as I held a piece of paper. Or to Hertz, here's my address if you ever want to come over and visit, I said, smiling. I'll make sure to visit you often. Then will you be doing the entrance exam next year? She looked at me. Yes, you should see me there. Will you watch Eri that day if you're not busy? I asked her. Of course I will. And Eri? She grabbed a bag of gummies off her shelf. Wise. She looked at the old lady confused. Here, have some gummies. Qiyo handed her a bag of gummies. Thank you, she said, smelling the bag. No problem, I'll call a cab so you both can get home safely, she said, looking at us. Thank you so much Qiyo, I said with a small smile. No problem, take care of Eri. I will, I promise Qiyo. As we arrive home there was boxes on the porch. Well Eri, looks like your stuff came early, so let's set up your room. After an hour later we finished her room. Pretend there's a lot of plushies, like a lot. Eri then jumps in my arms and hugs me tight. I love it, thank you Fu. No problem, you deserve the world and way more, I said, patting her back. That's it for the prologue. Next will be a time skip about 1 month before the exam. Purple heart warning, possible BLD warning. Warning, time skip to 1 month until the exam. Hanami POV. After that day I started to train my quirk with Eri and now I had some muscle and stamina. The best part is that when Qiyo comes by we worked with Eri and her quirk and now she can rewind minor cuts and bruises. Tonight I'm taking Eri to a restaurant to celebrate her hard work. Are you ready Eri? I called from the door. Coming mama. She yelled. Eri started calling me mama 3 months ago and I like it so it stayed. Tonight I was wearing a pink and white dress with a cat cutout. Soon Eri came down in white and black shirt with a bunny on it. Are you ready to go? I asked. Yes mama, she said, excited to see a restaurant. We put our shoes on and leave after locking the door. As we get close to the restaurant I heard footsteps. Someone start to follow us. I said calmly so the person following us didn't know. I know that I knew they were following us. Yes mama, she said, oblivious to the situation. You see that building? As point to the restaurant. Yes mama, why? She said, confused. I want you to run there and get help, okay? I said to the pale blue gray-haired girl. Why mama? Eri asked, confused. I suddenly was knocked down by something. My, aren't you a pretty one? He said, run it. I yelled, okay mama. And she ran, avoiding the man's punch because I caught it. As Eri ran I transform into my EV form. My tail starts to get hard and I lunge and hit the man in his eye, luckily bruising his eye, but he got back up and his bruised eye healed instantly. My, your quirk is something else. Then he starts to run around and hit me so I couldn't hit him again, so he has some kind of regeneration quirk. Soon I felt something hit my body and hold me against a wall. I got out of his grip and bit him on the arm. Let go of me you brats. He soon started to shake his arm, making me dizzy, and soon I fly into the wall, hitting my head hard. Mama. I heard Eri yell. I looked over and saw 3 blurry figures with her. That was the last thing I saw before I blacked out. Eri's POV. As soon as mama told me to run I ran as fast as I could to get help. As soon as I opened the door I started shouting and crying. Help, please help my mama. I screamed, panicking. After I said that 3 people came up to me. What do you mean by help? A black-haired man crouched down to reach my height. Me and my mama were on our way to this restaurant, then suddenly mama said run. I didn't understand until a man came up and knocked her down, but she then used her quirk in self-defense. Please, she's all I have left, I said as I looked back to saw smoke coming from where mama was. And I started crying harder. 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗵𝗲 come on, the banana man said. Can you lead the way? The black-haired man said to me. I nodded and ran to where me and mama were attacked. Soon as we got there I saw mama get smashed against a wall hard. Mama, I cried out, and the dark purple-haired woman looked at me. Then the black-haired male's hair lifted up and he shot out some kind of fabric and tied the man up. After he did that I ran to mama. I have seen her transformed before, so I picked mama up and walk over to the dark purple-haired woman. Please help mama, this is her quirk, I said holding up mama. Sweetie, let's wait for Eraserhead to finish and then get some help, she said. With a smile. Did you say Eraserhead? I asked her. You know him? She looked surprised. No, but Grandma 𝗃𝗧𝗄 does, I said with a smile. 𝗃𝗧𝗄 doesn't have kids. She looked at me confused. She said for me to call her grandma when she visits me and mama. I tilted my head. Oh shoot, okay, let me call her, okay? She said, pulling out a phone. I nodded and hugged mama close to me since she was freezing cold. Midnight's POV. As soon as that little girl said recovery girl's name I got my phone out and dialed 𝗃𝗧𝗄's number. 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘. What did I say about calling at night? I heard her scream through the phone. Only if it's an emergency. And I turned to the little girl. What is your name? I asked the little girl. 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘, she said looking at her mom. 𝗃𝗃𝗧𝗄, do you know of 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘? I asked her, what happened to my grandbaby? I think she busted my eardrum. Well, little Eri ran into the restaurant. 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗏 and Hisashi were in crying and screaming for help. So when we asked what was wrong, she said help her mama. When we got to the scene, her mom was slammed into a wall and knocked out. I said a little worried for her mom. Okay, take Eri and her mom back to their home and I'll be there in about 40 minutes. She said, and I heard shuffling. Soon as she hung up I turned to Eri. Do you know your address? 𝗃𝗧𝗄 is gonna meet us there, I asked Eri. It's random address. Will mama be okay? She said worried for her mom. She'll be fine, sweetie. You were very brave. Not many kids would leave their parents to get help. I praised her for her heroic action. Now let's see if the boys are done, shall we? I playfully said. Eri nods and we walked towards them. Did you get them, 𝗧𝗪𝗧, Hisashi? I asked the boys. It seems the mom did a lot of damage, but we can't find her. 𝗧𝗧𝗧 said, a little bit panicked, but was still looking in the rubble. Eri comes out from behind me. Because mama's right here, she said as she holds the white creature up to the two heroes. Hisashi looks at Eri. Is that her quirk? He looked at the small creature amazed. Mama has a special quirk, maybe that's why we were attacked, Eri said as she looked down. Well, let's start heading to your address, Eri. 𝗃𝗧𝗄 will meet us there, I said with a smile. 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗏, why would recovery girl come out late at night for this? Hisashi asked me. Because this munchkin is her granddaughter, I said bluntly. What? Hisashi screeched. 𝗧𝗪𝗧 then turns to Eri. Kid, are you hurt? He began to check her for any type of injuries. It's what heroes are supposed to do for any victim, but many ignore it. No sir, I'm alright, but mama is hurt though and she's a little heavy, the red-eyed girl said as she shuffled her hold on her mom. I'll carry her and 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗏 can carry you to the car and then we can drive to your home, is that okay? 𝗧𝗪𝗧𝗏 said looking at me. Okay, Eri says with a bright smile. Eri's POV. As soon as we reached the entrance, I needed them to stop driving since we could only walk the rest of the way. Mr. Eraserhead, we need to stop here, I said quietly. Why? He looked at me. Because the only way to get in and out of our home is to walk the rest of the way. It's our defense mechanism because intruders and villains have been known for raiding the forest in our area. I said, thinking back to what mama told me about this forest area. What about the pro heroes that patrol around? Mr. Yamada said confused. We don't have a district, so we don't have pro heroes because our area is away from cities. We live in the forest with solar electric. I said, lucky I paid attention to mama's lesson. That's pretty smart, kid, Mr. Eraserhead said to me. Well, ever since I met mama and she saved me, she always put my safety first. I said as I remembered the time mama heard someone around the area and grabbed me and locked the house up. Then Mr. Yamada spoke. Met your mama? He looked confused. Yes, my mama saved me when I ran. If you want details, wait for mama to wake up. I shivered, not liking to talk about my past. Mr. Eraserhead then parked the vehicle and we all got out and Ms. Midnight grabbed mama. Lead the way, kid, Mr. Eraserhead said. I nod my head and lead them towards our home. After the 15-minute walk we approached the cottage. 𝗬𝗧𝗏, you live here? Mr. Yamada said, shock. Yes, it's all solar powered. Hold on. I then grab the spare keys from under the plant pot and unlock the door and walk into the living room. You can put Mama on the couch, I told Ms. Midnight. Wow, it's so pretty, Ms. Midnight said as I nodded. Well, Mama always kept it clean. Do you all want anything to eat? I asked them because we had some ramen noodles Mama taught me how to make. No thanks, sweetie, we're good, Ms. Midnight said. About a few minutes later, I heard the doorbell ring, so I go answer it. Hi, Grandma Chio. I said excited. Hi dear, where's your mom? She asked me. On the couch with 3 people in another room. I said, okay, let's go, Eri. She said as soon as Grandma said that I took her to Mama, I'll start checking her and get her fixed up. Can you get the 3 who brought you back home? She asked me. I nod and run out of the room into the kitchen. Grandma wants all of you. If you need me, I'll be in my room, I said with a smile and went back to my room. 𝗧𝗵𝗲 As soon as Eri went upstairs, Hizashi and Nomuri went back into the living room to see Chio working on the kids. Mom, so how is she? I asked, secretly worried about her. She'll be fine, but I need Eri to test her quirk to heal her scrapes and bruises. Recovery girl, said Nomuri, then stands up and goes to get Eri. So the kid has a healing quirk? Hizashi asked, confused. No, her quirk can rewind any living being, but it won't work on objects, Recovery girl said. That's a strong quirk, Hizashi said. Soon we hear little footsteps. We look over to see Eri and Nomuri. I'm here, Grandma, what do I do? She tilted her head. Focus on the bruises first, then the scrapes. Recovery girl sounded worried. I wonder why. As soon as she said that, Eri walked over to Mom and her horn glowed. Easy, kid, I said, noticing how tense she was when her quirk turned on. Soon the BLD scratches disappeared with the bruises, but then the kid's quirk started to go crazy. Grandma, help, it won't stop. She cried out, scared. I then used my quirk to erase her quirk. She looked confused for a second until she saw my eye and ran over and hugged me. Thank you, she cried in my arms until a squeak caught everyone's attention. Hanami POV. When I try to get up, my vision is blurred, making me almost fell off the couch, making a squeak, but something caught me. Before I fell, I saw a gray thing holding me by my waist. As my vision settled, I saw Eri, Chio, a banana man, and a sleep-deprived man that was holding me with his scarf, and finally a dark purple-haired woman. I then realized that I was still transformed. Now, dearie, can you try to transform back and introduce yourself? Chio asked me. I nod and focus on transforming back, and then I bowed down. Hello, I am Fuji Hanami. I just turned 14 on December 25th, and thank you for saving me and my daughter. I look up to see shocked faces. But then the dark purple-haired woman then turns to Eri. How old are you, Eri? She asked, confused. 5. Why? Eri tilted her head. Nomuri, remember Eri said that her mom saved her. A yellow-haired man said. Oh, the woman said. Then the sleep-deprived man turned his way to me. I'm 𝗧𝗵𝗲, the blonde man is Yamada Hizashi, and finally the woman is Nomuri Kiyama. The black-haired man said, nice to meet you, I said, nodding. That's when Nomuri pops in. So are you planning to go to UA? She asked me. I look over to her. Yes, but I would be going this year though, I said. But you're 14. Yamada screeched. I skipped a grade, I stated, proud of myself, but tonight just proves that I need to train more, but I only have 1 month until the exam. I said, gloomy. Maybe Shota can train you. He fights quirkless, so maybe he could teach you some tricks. Yamada said, staring at 𝗧𝗏. I look over to 𝗧𝗏. You fight quirkless? I said with starry eye. Yes. He looked uninterested. That's so cool, I squealed. Huh? He looked confused. Most heroes depend on their quirk or are sloppy in combat. I don't like to rely on my quirk since it's best for infiltrating tactics. So I'm learning combat so I don't have to worry all the time during battles, I said with a giant smile. I like your style, kid. He digs into his pocket and hands me a card with an address and a phone number. Meet me at that address tomorrow morning with Eri. I'll bring some stuff and we can train until the exam, he said with a tired face. How can I repay you? I asked. He looks at me. Get into class 1A, kid. Hi, 𝗧𝗏-sensei, I said. He smirks. Call me that tomorrow, problem child. As soon as he said that, I swear I saw Nomuri smirk. Good luck with that training. She started to laugh like an evil clown. Well, since you're all here, do you all want to stay for dinner? I asked them with a smile. We don't want to bother you, 𝗧𝗏 said, looking away. It won't bother me. Take it as a thank you for saving my life, I said with no room to argue. Okay then, Nomuri said. Dinner will be ready in an hour. Make yourself at home, I said to the 3 pros. Since Chio was already making herself at home by laying down on one of the couches, I head to the kitchen, deciding to make chicken katsudon. After I finished, I set the table and put the dishes on the table. Dinner ready. I yelled as everyone sat down. We all start to eat. Wow, little listener, your cooking's amazing, 𝗵𝗲𝗄𝗧𝗏 said, taking another bite. Every time I visit she always sends me home food so I don't have to cook, 𝗳𝗏 said, smiling at me. Well, my place is very far from UA, so I always have food ready for 𝗳𝗏, I said. 𝗵𝗲𝗄𝗧 looks over to me. Why does 𝗳𝗏 visit you anyway? 𝗵𝗲𝗄𝗧 asked me to help 𝗧𝗍 with her quirk. I said, looking at 𝗧𝗍, who was not paying attention and eating her food. Is her quirk that deadly? He looked at me. Her quirk can rewind people out of existence, so yes, I said with unsureness, but before tonight's events 𝗧𝗍 was able to rewind scrapes and bruises with little effort, so we was going to buy real broken bone to try and fix them without her losing control. I said with a determined face. Interesting, I heard Izuku mumble, 𝗧𝗍's my world. I still remember the day I adopted her, I said, smiling. Why did you adopt 𝗧𝗍? Namuri asked me. Because she needed me and I got attached to her in one night, I said with no details. Well, we should be leaving, Izuku said, getting up. What time do you want me to be there? I asked. 12 p.m. he said, and they all left. Okay, see you tomorrow, I shouted. After I finished the dishes and tucked 𝗧𝗍 into bed, I went to take a shower and then went to bed. The next morning I woke up at 9 a.m. so I take a shower and put on a dark purple crop turtleneck with black shorts that have a skirt-like back and a belt. After I get ready I go to fix breakfast. Since today's going to be hectic, I decided a light breakfast for me and 𝗧𝗍 will do, so I made strawberry banana yogurt parfaits. After I finished the house chores it was 10 o'clock, so I went to wake up 𝗧𝗍. As I am at her door, I silently open 𝗧𝗍's door to see 𝗧𝗍 still asleep, so I walk over to her bed and shake her awake. 𝗧𝗍, wake up, we need to go meet with Izuku-sensei, I said to the sleepy girl. I heard her groan, and then she opened her eyes. Mama, why so early? She whined. Because Izuku-sensei said to, so go shower and put on the outfit I left on the counter, I told her. Okay, mama. Then she went into her bathroom to shower. While 𝗧𝗍 is showering I decided to sit and wait for her to finish. About 10 minutes later 𝗧𝗍 came down in cat overalls and a mint shirt that has eraser head is cool on it. Come on 𝗧𝗍, let's eat then head to the address. Okay mama, she said. As we leave the cottage I lock the door behind me. After walking 30 minutes 𝗧𝗍 got tired, so I gave her piggyback ride. We're here 𝗧𝗍, can you walk? I asked the excited girl. Okay mama, she said. When I put her down as we approached the door I knock on it to let Izuku know I'm here. Who is it? I heard a groggy voice. I'm Fuji Hanami, and Eraserhead gave me this address and said to be here by 12 o'clock. I said, a little bit scared. It's 10:40, you're early. I saw a purple-haired boy glaring at me until he saw 𝗧𝗍 and stopped glaring. Oh, I'm sorry, I squeaked. Hitoshi, calm down. I figured she would arrive early since her cottage is far from here. I look over to see Izuku standing there in his hero outfit. Izuku-sensei, sorry for coming early. I bowed and 𝗧𝗍 did too, which made the purple head grinned. No issue. My son's probably upset he was awoken on the day I give him a break from training, he said, glaring at his son. It's no issue, but I'm guessing this is a secret, I said, looking at both of them. Yup, he didn't change his last name, so he's not targeted, and we have one more person living here. Making me and 𝗧𝗍 tilt our heads right on time. 𝗵𝗲𝗄𝗧 busted through the door. Good no. I cover my ears from reflexes. Ow, my ears. I pull my hand back to see 𝗵𝗃. Kid up, you okay? Izuku must have noticed my ears. Got any cotton swabs? I'll need to get the BLD out, I asked politely, and Izuku nodded and went to get them. As Izuku left I look over to 𝗵𝗲𝗄𝗧. Good morning, I said with a smile. I'm so sorry about your ears, he said, then bowed. I wave him off. It's okay, I'm just sensitive to loud noises, I said. After a bit Izuku came back with first aid kit for ear mutant quirk and sat on the couch. Let me help you, kid. He opened the lot and grabbed some cotton swabs. Are you sure? I asked him. If I was sure I wouldn't have asked you, he said, patting a spot next to him. So we spent 4 minutes cleaning BLD out of my ears so I could hear properly. Okay, now that we finished that, let's get training. Follow me to the training ground in our backyard. Izuku walked to the backyard door and I followed. As he opened the door, when we arrive I see a open backyard and some training equipment. Where can I put 𝗧𝗍? She fell back asleep. I asked him. Hand her to Mike, he said, shrugging. I was confused. 𝗵𝗲𝗄𝗧, he said, pointing at him. Oh, so I walk over to him. 𝗵𝗃𝗲𝗧, can you hold 𝗧𝗍 so I can train with Izuku-sensei? I asked him. Sure. He looked very happy to hold the sleeping kid. As soon as he has her I walk back over to Izuku-sensei. He looks over to me. So what kind of fighting styles do you know? I looked at him. I don't know any, but I'm better at my speed than my fighting skills, so I usually hit and run style, I said, stuttering. Can you explain your quirk again? He asked me. Of course, I chirped. I can transform into a four-legged fox that can use abilities. I can also change my size, but that's hard to do, and my limit is the size of a full-grown German Shepherd. But the doctor said my quirk may evolve depending on the environment. Your quirk won't always be there to save you, and I'm glad you don't depend on it like most people, but you need a fighting styles that can capture and end a fight before it starts. He held his scarf up and it grabbed me. I'm going to teach you how to use a binding cloth so you can capture opponents before you even need to fight, so let's get started, he said, grinning. After an hour of training, Eri woke up and she wanted to watch me training. You're getting better. Well, a better first time than Hitoshi. He caught himself his first time and wiggled around like a caterpillar. He said, I did not. Shinso yelled. He did? I asked meekly. Yup, it took him a week while you took a day to get used to it, he said, looking at me. Do you think I'll be ready for the entrance exam? I asked him, looking down. You'll be more than ready, but we'll need to work on that form of yours. We need a name for it, he said with a scary grin. My quirk is called 𝗍𝗲𝗍𝗍, so why not that? I said, thinking, okay, then we'll call it 𝗍𝗲𝗍𝗍. Now back to training, he said, holding up the capture weapon. After 2 more hours we finished training for the day. Good job, kid. But here's their real question. What made you want to be a hero? He looked at me for an answer. I looked down at the ground. Well, when I found Eri. She looked so shattered and broken, but I was able to save her and get her to smile a few months after I rescued her, I said, looking up at the sky. But what about other people that are in the same situation? I want to save people, help them smile and have a good life. Lastly, I want to be able to support my daughter so she will have a good life, I said with a big smile. I look up to see a wide-eye Izuku. Are you okay? I shook him. Kid, that's an unexpected answer. Well, I just said what my heart said, looking at Eri playing with Shinso. I do have a question for you, Izuku told me. Yes, Izuku-sensei. I said, what school do you go to? He asked. I don't go to school, I do online college courses because I have Eri and I quit public school when my parents died. I said, well, when you go to the entrance exam, if they ask why you're not wearing a uniform, say online school, not the level of your course. He said, okay, so want me to come back tomorrow? I asked, sure. Just don't come on weekends. You should head home, it's almost 6 o'clock, he said. Me and Eri then look at each other worried. What's wrong? Yamada must have noticed our stiff body. Well, I'm pretty sure that Eri mentioned that once in a while people try to raid our area. It mostly happen at 6 p.m. to 12 a.m., I said, looking at a cat cloud. Geez, kid, is your area even safe? Izuku said, looking out a window. I mean, I bought the land when my parents died after I sold their mansion. And the landowners said nothing about this till after I bought it. I said, looking at Izuku, do you feel safe there? Izuku asked me, honestly, no. Every day I'm scared someone is going to find our home. I really want to move, but I don't know where we could move to, I said with a small voice. Hitoshi then pops into the conversation. Papa, there's a place beside ours for sale, but I don't think she could afford it, he said, pointing out the window. How much to pay it off? I asked him. Around $1 million. Why? Shinso asked me with a confused face. I'm using US dollars because I have no idea how to use yen. I'll have about $10 million left, so can I have the landlord number? I turned to him. Wait, really? Hitoshi almost fell off his seat. Yup, I'm tired of living in the forest. I'll still use solar energy though. I said to them, well, their number is XXXXXXXXXXXXXX. Shinso said, okay, I'm going to step outside for a second. And I walked out the door and sat on a bench. I then dialed the number. Hello, this is random name. What can I do for you? I'm looking to buy the house you're selling. Do you have $1 million? Yes, I do. Okay, I'll see you over there and you can pay me and I can give you ownership of the house. Congratulations. Yes, see you later. After I hung up, I walked back inside. So, how did it go? Izuku asked as he walked back in with a tray of tea and coffee. I got the house, but can you help me and Eri move our solar panels over? I asked, hoping they would help. It won't be an issue, I mean we're neighbors now, so we can visit often and make sure you all settle in well, Yamada said, pouring me a cup of tea and handing it to me. I'll order some stuff when we move in. I want a new scenery. What about you, Eri? Yamama, can I do a mint and white theme? She asked, looking at me with big eyes. Of course you can, I said, looking out the window. Someone is by the house, Hitoshi said. Oh, I'm gonna go pay them. I walk out to the house and I now know why it was that high. It's appealing, 3 stories. A underground garage and a basement. Just go with it. Hello, you must be random name, right? I asked them. Yes, you have the money, right? They asked with their hand out. I handed them the money and they handed me a key. Here's the house key and the paperwork you'll need for ownership of the house. They said with a smile, "Thank you." I said, "Well, all we need to do is move in." After 4 hours it was done and I was happy with the results. Kitchen Hanami's bathroom, pretend there's a shower above the bathtub. Aries' bathroom, pretend there's a toilet and a shower. Hanami's bedroom, pretend there's a big faux fur carpet on the floor. Aries' bedroom, guest room, that's not all the rooms, but it's all we could fill with stuff for now. Thank you all so much for this. If you ever need anything let me know, I said, bowing with Eri. 𝗧𝗏 walked up to me. "Kid, all I ask is that you raise your daughter well," he said, and then left. Warning, may have mention of BLD. Warning, Hanami POV. Soon as I wake up I stretch and go to take a bath. After I finish my bath I put on white leotard and put a pink shirt and a pink plaid skirt and some white stocking, then a white belt to secure the skirt. After I finish tying my knee-high boots I rush to Eri's bathroom and run her a warm bath and set her some clothes out. I walk out of her bathroom and to her bed and wake her up. "Eri, come on, wake up, we have 2 hours to get ready." I hollered, "Okay mama." Eri yelled back, "While you clean up I'll make us some food," I said, walking down to the kitchen. When I get to the kitchen I prepare some banana pancakes. After they're done I put bananas on top and drizzle chocolate on them. "Hurry up, yeah," I shouted, "Kim mama." She shouted back. I soon hear footsteps, so I turn around to see Eri wearing a green plaid dress with white stockings and green slip-ons. "Hurry up, Eri, we need to be at 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏's house before they leave," I said with a smile. After we ate I washed the dishes and we left. After I locked the door, as we walk on the sidewalk I see Hitoshi and Yamada waiting for us in their vehicle. If I had to bet, 𝗧𝗏 probably already left. "Ah, there you are, get in. After I drop you off I'll take Eri to the monitor room so Kayama can watch her," Yamada said. As soon as we arrive at UA I realized I had no idea where to go. "Yamada, where do I sign up to get my number?" I asked, confused. "Go to the front desk by the school gate and tell them your name and what school you go to." He said, "I never went to school," I said bluntly. "Well, tell them online course." He said to me, "Okay, bye." I waved at them. "Bye, little listener," he almost shouted, but Hitoshi smacked him in the head. "Bye, mama." Eri yelled with a smile, "Bye, sweetie." I closed the car door. I met with a person. "What school did you come from?" they asked me. Then I remember what 𝗧𝗏 said on our first day of training. "Online school course," I said, looking down. "Okay, your number is 74,846. They handed me a tag thing. "Thank you," I said and bowed. "No problem, now head into a classroom for the written exam." As I walk through the gate I noticed how many people are here. I heard someone yelling, so I turn around to see a boy with dark blue hair. "How can I help you?" I said. "It's super unprofessional of you to not wear your school uniform," he said, doing weird robot hand motion. "I didn't go to a public school, I did online courses. Sorry to burst your bubble, but that means I don't have a uniform. And you're gonna make my ears bleed with your yelling," I said, wincing. "I'm sorry for yelling, have a nice day." He walked away with an embarrassed look on his face. When he walked away I almost sighed in relief, but as soon as someone grabbed my shoulder I grabbed their hand and flipped them over my shoulder and on the ground. "Gez, kid, maybe it was a bad idea to train you to do that," I heard a familiar voice say. "I'm so sorry, 𝗧𝗏-sensei." I nearly screamed. "No problem, kid, nice reflexes," he said with a giant grin. "So what are you doing here?" I asked him. "Well, you're going the wrong way, so I'm here to take you to the room since you're terrible with directions," he said with a smirk. "Ah, okay," I said. After he took me to the right room I sat down at a desk. The exam don't start until 30 more minutes, so I guess I'll call Nomiuri and see if Eri made it to her. So I grabbed my phone and put Nomura's number in. Believe it or not, she answered immediately. "Hello. Did Eri make it to the monitor room?" I asked. "Oh yes, she did, and she wants to tell you something." I heard shuffling and then I hear Eri. "Good luck, mama," she shouted. I giggle at her antics. "I promise, Eri, I will be a hero." When it was time for the written exam to start, so I put my phone back in my pocket. "Hello everyone, as some of you may know I'm 𝗧𝗵𝗲, and I'm in charge of the written exam. You have 1 hour to finish this, so don't rush it," he said with an unreadable expression. "Now start," he said. After 40 minutes later I was almost finished. I just had one question left. Question 69. Why do you want to be a hero? You don't have to answer this. Written on the side of the quiz, I smile and write down what I told 𝗧𝗏-sensei a month ago. Well, I found someone, and she looked shattered and broken, but I was able to save her and get her to smile. But what about other people that are in the same situation? I want to save people, help them smile and have a good life. Lastly, I want to be able to support my daughter so she will have a good life. Signed, Fuji Hanami. I smile at my answer and walk up to 𝗧𝗏𝗏. "Here, 𝗧𝗏𝗏-sensei, I finished. You know you're the first one done, right?" He raised a brow looking at me. I'm not the first one. Some people are finished but didn't want to get up, said bluntly looking at some people. Oh well, since you're done, head down to the auditorium where present Mike is, he said looking at the students. Okay, have a nice day, I said as I open the door and leave. I see 𝗵𝗃𝗲 with 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗲 running towards me. Mama. 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗲 screams and hugs me. Hey sweetie, I smiled. Sorry, when we got word you finished, 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗲 ran off to see you, 𝗵𝗃𝗲𝗃 said walking up to me. Well, can you bring me to where I need to be? I asked since I was lost. Sure, you're probably lost again, she said laughing at me. So me and 𝗵𝗃𝗲𝗃 were walking down the halls until I had a voice. Who's this midnight? I heard a voice say. I stiffen and turn around to see Izuku standing there with a chimera on his shoulder. Am I a mouse, bear, or a moose? I'm 𝗍𝗫𝗍, the principal of UA. He said grinning. Ah, how rude of me. I'm Fuji Hanami and this is my daughter 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗲, I said smiling. You look similar, he said nodding. Oh, I saved and adopted her, I said picking 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗲 up. Really? This seemed to catch his interest. Yup, it's really nice to meet you, but I need to get to the practical exam, I said smiling. Oh yes. I need someone to watch 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗲. Izuku-sensei, can you watch her in the monitor room? As I say that, 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗲 was already out of my hands and in his arm. Make sure you make it in my class, problem child, he said looking bored. Yes sir. I saluted. Izuku took 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗲 to the monitor room and 𝗵𝗃𝗲𝗃 took me to the auditorium where present Mike was hosting the practical exam. Okay, there ya go kid, she said with a smile. Thank you Ms. Midnight, I said. She looked confused until she saw kids looking at us. No problem, now go ace that exam. She patted my head and left to the monitor room. After that I wait for the announcement for the practical exam. Time skip. After present Mike finished his speech we went to our exam areas. I'm in area B. As soon as we got there and were about to start, I run in and so does a cute green-haired boy. People start to shout until I heard present Mike yell, what are you waiting for? There's no countdowns in battle. He yelled pointing at me and Bush boy, I like your stuff kids. He yelled at us. Soon enough everyone starts running in with battle cries. I start running around until I find 2 3-pointers in a corner. I felt myself get smaller and fluffier. I then climb into the robots and chew the wires in 2 with my teeth. That did more damage than I thought it would. Then I heard a scream, and since I didn't have time to transform back, I just ran to the source of the scream. When I got there I saw 4 robots, 2 3-pointers and 2 2-pointers surrounding 2 people. One had black hair and some kind of hardened quirk while the other one had yellow hair with a black lightning bolt in his hair, so probably an electric quirk. On instincts I jump up and feel my tail turn hard and I whacked off one of the head of the 2-pointers and then used my new move Swift. Soon my tail became warm so I flicked it and stars came out and hit the other robots. Pretend that it's the white Eevee with her eye color. I turn around to face the 2 boys and squeak a goodbye and go fight more robots. After 3 minutes later I heard a lot of screaming so I turn around to see people running away and I noticed there were 2 0-pointers. I noticed that the green-haired boy was helping the girl under the debris, so I went to help the people who were about to be stepped on. As I was running towards the robot I closed my eyes and felt myself grow and my tail harden. So I jumped up and whacked the head off. Soon as I opened my eye I realized that I grew past my limit. I guess the brutal training paid off. She could originally grow to the size of a full-grown German Shepherd, but now she's the size of a full-grown English Mastiff. May not be big, but to her it's progress. I soon feel my body shrink and I realize I'll need to land on my feet or I will break my back since I think my Eevee bones are different than human bones in this form. I turned my body so I could land properly. I could see the ground approaching, but before I could hit the ground something caught me. I look up to see green bushy hair and my fur fluffed up as I realized the cute boy from earlier was falling with broken bones, but he still took time to catch me. I focus on my size and grow to my new limit to try and put him on my back, but I couldn't do it alone. I soon hear footsteps come over, so I turn my head to see Chiyo walking over to us. My. It looks like your quirk is not used to your body, she said unimpressed looking at the boy. I nudged Chiyo's arm with my snoot. You passed your size limit, good job. And you helped me bring him to the nurse office, she asked me. I nodded and let some examiners help put him on my back. As we approached Chiyo's workplace I saw Izuku and 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗲𝗃 waiting on a bed. Mama. 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗲𝗃 then ran to me and hugged my fluffy neck. I see you passed your size limit. I guess my training prepared your body so you could grow more, he said looking at me. I turned to Izuku and squeak as a greeting, can you turn back? He looked at me with an annoyed look. I gestured to the boy on my back and Chiyo finally made it. Get him on the bed. And Izuku, don't you have somewhere to be? She looked at him. Yes, I'll be leaving. Hanami, make sure to get home before dark. I forgot to mention the month he trained. I told him to call me by my first name. After we moved by them, Izawa and Yamada took the role of my parents. They always visited in the morning with Hitoshi unless I slept in or they're busy, and with this school year coming up they must be really busy. It feels like they took my parents' place, but it feels nice having someone worry about me. And I'm pretty sure they see Eri as their niece. Every time they see her their eyes gleam with happiness. Even Hitoshi likes hanging out with Eri, and he said he hates most kids. When the boy is on the hospital bed, I focused and transformed back. Okay, Izawa, I'll be home before dark. I just want to tell this boy thanks for catching me, I said, looking at the cute bush boy. I'm positive that I would have broke my back if he didn't catch me. As Izawa left, I swear he glared at the poor boy, muttering something about a second problem child or a bone breaker. I chuckle nervously as the door closes. So, dearie, you crushing on him? Chio looked at me with an eyebrow raised. I felt my face go hot. 𝗧𝗵𝗲, why would you say that? I stuttered, looking at her. Well, any other boy you wouldn't even leave a note or bat an eye at him, she stated like it was a fact. Good point. I will say he's pretty cute, I won't lie. How is he? I asked, worried. He'll be fine, sweetie, but he broke his legs and arm. Luckily he had enough stamina to be healed, she said, looking at him. To have a quirk that hurts you is backlash. It must be painful. You could easily say it like he just got his quirk. I said with a hand on my chin. You're too smart for your age, just make sure to keep an eye on him, you may figure it out. She chuckled. I raised an eyebrow at her. What do you mean figure it out? I probably looked like a confused puppy. You'll understand when you find out, but don't let that stop you from checking him out. She smirked and elbowed my side since she was in her Raleigh chair. 𝗧𝗵𝗲, why I whine, mama? Is Bushman okay? Eri asked, looking at him and occasionally poking his side. He's fine, Eri. We're going to stay until he wakes up to thank him for saving mommy's life. I smile at her. So he's the man who saved mama? She asked with a smile that could kill the sun. Yup, he is, so tell him thank you when he wakes up. I smile at her smile. And she started to stare at him, so I picked up Eri and laid down with Eri, thinking about how to introduce myself until I got an evil idea but kinda cute at the same time. After an hour I heard groans, so I turned my head to see the cute green-haired boy opening his eyes. So I sat up with Eri and focused and transformed into my EV form and hop on his hospital bed. As soon as he sets up, I jump on him and nuzzle my cheek into his cheek and squeak. Soon enough Chio came in and saw what I was doing. Hanami, down girl. I'm sorry dear, she never had an interest in boys until she saw you today. She never batted an eye at any other guy, especially since she keeps men away from her daughter, Chio said, almost whacking me with her cane noder. He looked confused until Eri got off the bed and hugged him. Hi, I'm Eri, thank you for saving mama, she said happily. As soon as Eri said that, I jump on the floor and transformed back. Nice to meet you, I'm Fuji Hanami, and you are? I asked for the boy's name. I'm Midoriya Izuku. He stuttered. Well, at least my stuttering has stopped for a bit. Well, Midoriya, it's nice to meet you, I said, bowing. Why, you as well, Fuji-san, he said, looking at the little girl hugging him. Just call me Hanami, no need to be formal, let's keep in contact. I hope we are in the same class. Heck, I'll help you train that quirk of yours so you won't break your bones every time. I winked at him. Really? He said, and I nodded. I used to never use my quirk cause I never wanted to depend on my quirk. A month ago I was attacked. I told Eri to get help. When I transformed I was slammed into a wall and knocked out when Eri arrived with help. Who helped you? He looked confused. Pro Heroes Midnight, Eraserhead and Present Mike, I said with a smile. Really? He asked, starry eyes. Yup, I was shocked to see them in my old home when I woke up. I then look over to Chio. Can we leave? I asked her, if you want get yo man. She said, putting her cane in the air. I swear if I said my face wasn't red I would be lying. I look over to Midoriya and he wasn't any better. His cheeks were BLD red. I walk over to a sleeping Erish, fell asleep, and pick her up and place her head over my shoulder. Come on Midoriya, let's continue this outside, I said quietly, not to wake her up. As we both head through the hallway I see Midoriya tense up. Something wrong, Midoriya? I asked him and looked around. I was wondering, how did you find Eri, if you don't mind me asking? He asked quietly. I internally fight the urge to growl, which is hard, but I managed. Midoriya probably saw my face because he said if I didn't mind to share. Well, the day I found Eri was when I went to get groceries so I could cook dinner, but I went down an alleyway when something bumped into me. Midoriya looked at my facial expression, worry on his face. You okay, Hanami? He looked worried for someone he just met. I nod. Yeah, I'm okay, but when I looked at what bumped into me I saw Eri covered in bloody bandages and bruises and I heard footsteps, so I picked Eri up and jumped to a roof and then someone came in the alleyway. Midoriya looked at me confused, a man probably in his 20s or early 30s. He had brown hair with 𝗵𝗃𝗲. His signature items were a plague mask and gloves. He was around 170 centimeters tall. From where I could see I was too busy making sure Eri didn't panic. As soon as I got back to my old home I gave Eri a bath and dressed her in my old sleeping gown from when I was 8, I said smiling. After that I taught Eri how to make Alfredo and then I called the police station to adopt Eri and make her file. I told him as I remembered when I called the police. Didn't she have one? He asked confused. No, her 𝗵𝗃𝗍𝗃 record was never found, so we did BLD test to find her quirk and her birthday. I said her birthday is on December 21st, which was 4 days before mine. But her quirk was a different story. How so? He looked interested when I said quirk. Eri's quirk is special. Her quirk rewind can rewind any living organism as long as it's not an item. So we're going to teach Eri how to rewind injuries with her quirk. So far we have her able to rewind scrapes and bruises. Next we're going to try broken bones. So Eri can rewind any living organism in short? He said looking at the tiny girl in my arms. Yup, we're already at the door. Hold on, let me give you my number so we can hang out sometime at my place. I winked at him and stuck my tongue out a little bit. His cheeks turned red but he gave me his number and patted Eri on the head. As we leave I noticed we were going the same way. You live in this direction too? I squeaked excited. Well, I guess we'll walk together, huh? He chuckled. As we arrive at my house I noticed Midoriya still walking. Midoriya, this is my stop, I said. He turns to look. Oh really? He tilted his head. Yup, I moved here a month ago, I said smiling. Well, my house is across the street from you. Me and my mom moved out of an apartment into the house from across from yours, he said grinning. Maybe you and your mom should come over for dinner somewhere. I would love to meet her if she's as friendly as you, I said with a big smile. I'll see if she has anything planned, he said. I turned to the door. Good night, Midoriya. I look back one more time to see his face BLD red. I chuckle and head inside and lock the door and head to Eri's room and change her into her PJs, place her in bed and cover her up, then kiss her forehead. Then I go bath and change into my PJs and lay in my bed and fall asleep. I get a ding from my phone, so I check it. Received at 9:58 from Midoriya. Good night Hanami. Sent 10 o'clock to Midoriya. Good night Midoriya. White heart, purple heart, brown heart. Don't own any of the pictures / gifts. Time skip Hanami's POV. I lay in my bed and start to wake up. It's been about a week since the entrance exam and me and Midoriya have been texting each other often, but today the letters are supposed to show up in our mail. I look over to my clock. It was 10 a.m. As much as I want to lay down, I had to fix breakfast for Eri and me, then check my mailbox. After I finished fixing my bed I go bath and put on a light blue winter dress with white stockings. Since it was supposed to be a little chilly today, after I tied the ribbon I head to the kitchen and decided to make one of Eri's favorite things, pancakes. So I make strawberry banana pancakes and put the plates on the table. Now to wake Eri up, then go get the mail. As I open her door I was surprised to see Eri already dressed in the outfit I put out for her. She was dressed in a light blue dress with a flower on the right top side, and I noticed that she put the jacket on. She also had white stocking. You cold, Eri? I asked her. No mama, I thought it was part of the dress, she said looking in her mirror. No, it's a coat, I said. Oh, can I take it off? Eri asked looking at it. Sure, unless you want to get the mail with me. I asked her knowing what she would say yes. As I expected. Well, let's go eat then we can get the mail, I said to her. Out when we get to the table I see that the pancakes cooled down. Wow mama, they look delicious. Eri's eyes were shining just looking at them. Thanks sweetie, but let's eat so we can get the mail, I said, cutting a piece of the pancake and eating it. Okay? She started to eat. After we eat we put on our slippers and walk outside to the mailbox. Okay Eri, open it, I encouraged her. She said. As soon as Eri opened the mailbox door I saw a letter from UA, so I grabbed it and picked Eri up and headed back inside because it's a little cold. Open it mama, she said jumping up and down. Okay Eri, calm down, I told the hyper girl. I tear the envelope open and see a disc. What's this? I placed the disc on the table and pushed the button on the disc. I am here as a projection. Oh my gosh, it all might. I said to Eri, who was jumping up and down. Young Fuji, on the written exam you aced it and you got a bonus for the 69th question, putting you at the highest score in the written test at 105%, so congratulations. Now the practical exam you had 69 villain points, but take a look at this. I look at the video of me saving those two boys and the attempted helping of Midoriya. These are true hero acts. And you were rewarded with 31 rescue points, meaning you were in first place with 100 points. Welcome to class 1A, he said with his signature smile. We also checked your files to see you have a daughter, so if you want you can bring her and Principal 𝗍𝗬 will teach her while you're in class, and at lunch you can eat with her in a secret spot. Remember, go beyond plus ultra. Then the disc turned off. I picked up Eri and spinned her around. You did it, Mama. Eri cheered. No, we did it. Do you want to see 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏? I asked her. Yes, Mama, I want to see Uncle Sho and Uncle Yama. She cheered. I chuckled at her excitement. Come on, Eri, let's go to 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏 and Yamada's house, I said as I grabbed the disc. Okay? Eri said as she finished sliping on her shoes. We soon leave the house and walk over to their home, and I knock on the door. 1 second. I heard Yamada yell. As soon as the door opened, Eri tackles the poor soul to the ground. Oh, Yamada. Or should I say Sensei? I asked him. Yamada is fine, but in school call me Sensei, he said grinning. Okay, Yamada, did Hitoshi get in? I asked. Sadly no. But there's a chance for him to transfer through the sports festival. Did you get in? He replied, sad that his son didn't make it in. I have my disc. I'd rather not say and let you all watch, I said as I pulled out my disc. He invited me and Eri in, so we sat in the living room waiting for Hitoshi and 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏. Problem child, what are you doing here? 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏 asked me. Hanami. Hitoshi said confused. Hello boys, I came with my disc. I said smiling. Good, I want to see how my training did for you, 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏 said with his signature grin. As soon as I push the replay button, All Might appears and repeats what he said earlier. What was your answer for the question 69? 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏 said looking at me. The same thing I told you the first day we trained. I said. 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏 eyes widen. So Eri's coming with you? He asked. Yep, the principal offered to teach her while I'm in class, and during lunch I could eat with her in a secret area, I replied with a grin as we all sat down and chatted while Eri played with Hitoshi. An hour later my phone dinged, so I opened my messages received at 4:30 from Midoriya. Will you meet me at 𝗳𝗏𝗍𝗺 Beach? Sent to Midoriya at 4:32. Okay, on my way I turned to 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏. Can Eri stay over for a bit? I need to meet up with someone. I asked him. Sure kid, as long as you're back before 9 o'clock. He said with a small glare. Okay, and I run out the door, but not before I heard a www. I get a text and I check to see who it was. Received from Eri. Good luck with your date, Mama. Sent to Eri. Don't say anything about it. Received from Eri. A little bit late for that. Love you, Mama. White heart, purple heart, so I booked it. Dang it, Eri. Eri's POV as Mama left the door. I knew who she was going to see and I smiled. Why you smiling? Hitoshi and I asked me. Because Mama's going to visit my future dad? I said with a big grin. As soon as I said that, Uncle Hizashi spit his drink out. www. He screeched. We all covered our ears as Uncle 𝗧𝗱𝗪 erased his quirk and walked up to me. What do you mean future dad, Eri? Uncle 𝗧𝗱𝗪 asked me. Well, at the exam Mama was saved by a boy, and usually she doesn't bat an eye as Grandma says, but she actually stayed to say thank you and gave him her number. Sometimes I sneak around to see what they talk about, and even though I'm 5 I can tell they're obliviously flirting with each other. Even though they only just met a few weeks ago, they're really compatible with each other. I said with a smile. What does he look like? Hitoshi and I said, and I felt a cold aura around him, but I ignored it. Well, he has black and green hair with emerald eyes and symmetrical freckles that shape diamonds on his cheek. I said, trying to remember what he looks like. Okay, thank you, Eri. Hitoshi and I said, no problem. I never seen Mama so happy before unless she's with me. I said, resuming my coloring. They freeze then smile. Really? Uncle 𝗧𝗱𝗪𝗧𝗏 said, yup, Mama's always looking forward to text him. I said happy. Hanami's POV. As I made it to the beach I see Midoriya and a blonde stick man. Midoriya. I yelled. He looked over to me and waved at me, so I transformed and run at him to knock him into the sand and nudges my cheek against his. Okay Hanami, I know you missed me, but can you please get off so I can introduce you to someone, he said in between my nudges. I jumped down and transformed back into human, and I turn around to face stick man who looked half dead. This is Yagi Toshinori, and Yagi, this is Hanami. He bluntly introduced us, and Yagi bowed down to 𝗵. It's an honor to meet you. With how much he talks about you, he said with a smile. You look familiar, I said with caution. I do. He looked scared for a moment. You look like 𝗵 skeleton version of All Might. I said looking at him more closely. His face soon turned white with fear. You can't tell anybody. He immediately spoke out and covered his mouth. What? Can you explain? I now said confused but then understood. As soon as he said that he knew he outed himself, so all might care to explain. I said with a look after an hour of explaining I knew about his injury and his quirk and I was swore to secrecy so I turned to Midoriya. He looked at me for a few seconds before asking me a question. What will happen with 𝗧𝗧𝗍𝗧? He asked, probably thinking that she would be home alone. The principal offered to teach her during class and I could see her during lunch. I said happy I don't have to leave her at home. Really? Do you think I could see her again? He looked at me, sure, but I want to know more about you. We started walking, leaving All Might alone. Poor guy got ditched. F for All Might. Well, as you know, Izuku Midoriya. I'm 15 and my birthday is on July 15th. My mother's name is Midoriya. Lastly, my favorite food is katsudon. He said, mumbling. I nodded and decided to say something about myself. Well then, as you know, my name's Fuji Hanami. I just turned 14 on December 25th and my parents were murdered a year after I got my quirk. So I got the inheritance and sold the mansion, then moved into a cottage that was solar powered. After I found 𝗧𝗧𝗍𝗧 and adopted her and she convinced me to become a hero. A few months after that, 𝗧𝗧𝗍𝗧 was finally able to rewind scrapes and bruises, so I decided to take 𝗧𝗧𝗍𝗧 to a restaurant. But we were attacked by a man before we got to the restaurant. Then he pushed me down and I told 𝗧𝗧𝗍𝗧 to run and get help, so she did. But while she ran I transformed to dodge and stall. Eventually I got slammed into a wall when I heard 𝗧𝗧𝗍𝗧 cry, but I blacked out. When I woke up I was in my old home with 4 heroes: Midnight Eraserhead and Present Mike. Who was the 4th one? He asked curiously. You've met her already. It was Recovery Girl. I said, smiling. Why did you call her Chio? He looked confused. That's her first name. She helped me finalize the adoption of 𝗧𝗧𝗍𝗧 and visits me from time to time. So she dubbed herself as the favorite grandma, I said softly, laughing. So technically you kinda have a chosen family of heroes? He asked with starry eyes. If you look at it like that, yes, I guess they broke my walls down. I said. As we walk I realized we were in front of Midoriya's house. I heard a beep and Midoriya checked his phone and looked at me with a small smile. My mom's watching us from the window and wants to meet you. Is someone watching 𝗧𝗧𝗍𝗧? He asked me, looking at the window and waving at it. I point across the street. He looked confused until he saw 𝗧𝗧𝗍𝗧 waving with 3 males glaring at him. Why are they glaring at me? He shrieked. This is the first time I've had a friend or a guy friend, so they're probably just worried. I said, oblivious to their protective nature. When Midoriya offered his hand I grabbed it. I'm sure they'll watch 𝗧𝗧𝗍𝗧 for me. As we enter his house the first thing he said was, I brought her with me. Izuku shouted. I heard shuffling around and footsteps. When they stopped I looked up to see a short woman in what looks like early 40s stepped into the room. So I walk forward to introduce myself. Hello Ms. Midoriya, I'm Fuji Hanami and I'm a friend of your son, and may I say he's great company, I said with humor lacing my voice. Oh, you're so much prettier than he described to be, especially your eyes. She said in I'm honored to have a appealing woman as yourself think so high about my looks. Now I know where Midoriya gets his kindness and his looks from, I said. She chuckles. Come sit down, Fuji-san, dinner almost ready. It's Izuku's favorite to celebrate his acceptance into, she said with a smile. So katsudon? I asked her. My. How much has he told you? She asked me with a smile. He whined. Well, he told me about his appealing mother, his birthday, and he's a late bloomer, I said with a hand on my chin. Right, well, I'm gonna head back and make sure the food won't burn, but feel free to explore. But you're most likely to talk with Izuku, right? She asked. I nod. I plan to get to know him. He's a sweet boy, plus we're technically neighbors, I informed her. Really? She asked me. I live in the house across from here, I pointed out the window. Oh, maybe we'll visit sometime, Ms. Midoriya said with a small smile on her face. That sounds nice. Well, I'm glad I got to meet you, but I think the food's gonna overcook, so you may want to get to that, I told her since I saw smoke. Oh, right. By Fuji-san. I walk back over to Midoriya. She's really sweet, Midoriya, you got lucky, I said with a grin. He jumps and turns to me. I guess I really did, he said, scratching the back of his neck. So what do you and 𝗧𝗧𝗍𝗧 do during the day? He asked me. Well, we sometime bake sweets and other time play dress up, and sometimes we'll try to train 𝗧𝗧𝗍𝗧's quirk, I said, remembering what me and 𝗧𝗧𝗍𝗧 would do all day. Sounds fun. He said, grinning. Well, yesterday we had a tea party and we ate ice cream, I said, remembering 𝗧𝗧𝗍𝗧's green princess dress I got her. I wonder, do you think 𝗧𝗧𝗍𝗧𝗧 has nightmares? Midoriya asked me. I wouldn't be surprised if she did, cause of the state I found her in, but if she did she probably would have screamed at night. I mumbled. Well, changing the topic, I got into UA class 1A. Midoriya said with a grin, really I did too. I said, grinning back at him, so we have the same class together. Do you know who's teaching it? Izuku asked me. I do, but I can't say. All I can say is he has expelled 154 students so far. I mumbled. Why, you said 154 right? His eyes widened. Yup, no mercy. It was because he thought they didn't have hero qualities or couldn't control their quirks in the middle of the school year. I said to try and calm him down. So, I'll be okay, right? He looked terrified. Hopefully. I mean, you just saw him glaring at you, so maybe. Oops, I just let the cat out the bag. Wait, was it the sleep-deprived looking man? He asked, confused. No. I look away from him before he could see my face. Darling, from the little time I have known you, you look away when you lie. I blush. Where did the shy boy go? I look at him. Maybe you were right, but please don't say anything. I squeaked. I won't say anything, darling. He whispered into my ear. Eep. I jump when I feel arms wrap around me. Chill out, it's just a hug, Jumpy, he said, still hugging me. Well, I haven't been hugged by anyone except Eri. Remember, I was alone since I was 5, I said sadly. Well, remember this, you're not alone anymore. You have a literal makeshift hero family, a adorable daughter, and now you have me, your new friend. He said with a grin. I guess you're right, I replied. Dinner's ready, you too. Ms. Midoriya shouted when we sat down to eat. So, Fuji-san, when's your birthday? So now I'm getting questioned. Well, I was born on December 25 at 9:32 a.m., so I'm a Capricorn and I'm 14, I replied. Lovely, what about your parents? She asked, unaware. Mom. Midoriya looked at me with an apologizing face, but I wave it off. Well, they were murdered a year after I got my quirk, so they have been dead for 9 years. I said with little effort, used to them being dead. I'm sorry for bringing it up. Ms. Midoriya said, it's okay, I have a new light after all. I replied, thinking about Eri. What do you mean? She looked at me with a confused face. My daughter is my new lights, I replied without hesitation. You don't even look like you've had one kid. She examined me. Well, I adopted her, here's a picture of her. I pull my phone out and pulled a picture I took about 2 months after I rescued her. She's so adorable. Ms. Midoriya says as she looks at the picture, she's the light of my life. If anything happened to her, I probably would break down. Oh, said looking at the picture, I bet she is. Her eyes are so pretty. Inko said, examining her eyes, I know they remind me of a ruby gem or apples. I said, smiling softly, ring ring ring. Excuse me, I get up and walk to a corner. Hello. I said, Mama. I heard Eri's voice on the other side. Oh, Eri, what's wrong? I asked, a little nervous because she never needed to call me before. Uncle Mike and Hitoshi and I tried to cook me spaghetti and started a small fire, and Uncle 𝗧𝗪 ain't here to help, she said with a bit of fear in her voice. I'm on my way, Eri. Call Aizawa and tell him what you told me, okay? I asked her calmly. Okay, Mama. Beep, I go back in. Okay, so Eri just called, I said, frowning. Is something wrong? Midoriya asked me. Well, her uncle figure tried to cook her spaghetti and he somehow started a fire, I said with a sweat drop. Oh, will you need help? Ms. Midoriya asked, can I borrow your son so someone can get Eri while I get Yamada? I asked her. Okay, Izuku, go with Fuji-san and I'll call the fire station, she said as she rushed to grab her phone. As we get to their house, I run in with Midoriya. Pretty stupid idea, but I didn't care, knowing my kid was inside and could get hurt from this. I yelled for her, over here, Mama. I heard her yell back when I walk in, see Eri and Yamada with the fire extinguisher trying to put it out. Midoriya, can you get Eri out of here? Smoke is bad for the lungs, I said, remembering my collage lessons in medical subject. He nods and picks Eri up and walks outside. Now where's Hitoshi? I asked Yamada. Well, he went to call 𝗧𝗪, so he stepped outside, he said. And your cats? I asked. They left earlier, so it's just us in here. Let's just wait for the firefighters to arrive. Till then, let's head out, I said. As we head out, I see Midoriya talking to Aizawa. I pray to God that he ain't scaring poor Midoriya, hurt her, and even All Might will not be able to save you. Got it, kid? That's all I heard Aizawa say. Hi, sir, I heard Midoriya say. What are you two talking about? I appeared behind them. Nothing, kid. Is Hitoshi and Yamada okay? I see Midoriya had Eri, so she's safe. He asked. Suddenly Hitoshi pops up. I'm here, he said, grinning. Okay, everyone is accounted for, Aizawa said. After that fiasco, the firefighters arrive. Anyone in the house, ma'am? He asked me. No, sir, they were babysitting for me, so I'm here a lot, I said to the fireman. Okay, come on, folks, let's put the fire out. The firefighter yelled, HAI. After they put the small fire, Yamada was banned from cooking. And me and Midoriya went to the front of my house. Eri already went inside because she said she was tired. I'm sorry about that, but do you want to hang out tomorrow? I asked him. Sure, I'll come over when you're ready, he said with a grin. Okay, good night, Midoriya, I said smiling. Oh, can we bring Eri tomorrow? He asked me. Sure, we could probably hang out at the ice cream parlor. I said, remembering how Eri loves ice cream. Sounds fun. I'll see you and Eri tomorrow, my treat, Midoriya said. Thank you, Midoriya, I said looking at his eyes. Call me Izuku, Hanami, he said. Okay then, Izuku, I mumbled. Till tomorrow, darling, and he started to walk off. I blush. BLD red-eye sighed. By Izuku, I shut the door. So does that mean I got a new daddy? Eri asked me if I had a drink I would have spit it out. Eri, I exclaimed. What? She tilted her head. Go shower and I'll make dinner for you, I said to her, already heading to the kitchen. Okay, she said and rushed up the stairs. As Eri went to shower, I cooked her some mac and cheese. I'm done, mama. Eri came down in a pink oversized hoodie that had a purple heart on it. I hope mac and cheese is fine tonight, Eri, I told her. It's fine. Can we have something with apples for breakfast? She asked me. Of course, we can now brush your teeth and go to sleep. We have a day with Izuku tomorrow, I told her with a grin. She said with a smile. Then Eri went up the elevator. We got it fixed and went to brush her teeth. I then go up the stairs to my bathroom and brush my teeth and head to bed. Oh, looks like Hanami got a date. Actions thinking Hanami's POV. When I wake up, I look at my clock to see it's 9:30 a.m. so I stretch and get up to bath. After I bath, I put on a white sweater dress with white fishnet leggings. And finally I put on my white coat that I've been saving. After I finished brushing my long hair, I decided to leave it down. I go to the kitchen and make breakfast for me, Eri, and Izuku. So I made something I saw online called an apple taco. Eri did want apples, so I'm making something with apples. I hear footsteps, so I turn to see Eri with her hair dripping wet, but she still has her robe on, mama. Eri said to me, yes, sweetie. I asked her, I need an outfit, she said looking at me. All right, I'll be there in a second. I told her. When Eri walked back upstairs, I walked to her room to get her outfit. Knocking. Eri, can I come in? I asked her. Yeah, mama. She replied. I walk into her room to see her still in her robe. Okay, what do you want to wear? I asked her. Apples? She said. So something with apples? I asked her. Yeah. She said as I dig through Eri's closet and find something very cute and apple-like. Okay, here, put this on while I finish breakfast, I said to her. Okay, thank you, mama. She said as she pulled her thigh-high socks on. No problem, Eri, now hurry up, Izuku should be here any ding minute. Okay, Eri, when you're done, come to the kitchen for breakfast, okay? I told her. Okay. She said as she started to put on her top. I get to the front door and open it. I see Izuku dressed in a black sweater and blue jeans. Good morning, Izuku, I said to him. Good morning, Hanami, where's Eri? He said, noticing the little girl's absence. She's getting dressed. Come in, I almost have breakfast ready, I said. As soon as I shut the door, I hear little footsteps. I look to see Eri dresses in a beige dress with apples on the bottom, red leggings, and an apple purse. Mr. Izuku. Eri then runs to Izuku and hugs him. Hi, Eri. He lifted her up by her armpits and twirls her around. Eri screamed. I'm going to finish the apple tacos, I said, walking back to the kitchen. Apple taco, what's that? I heard Izuku ask me. I found a breakfast recipes for them and Eri wanted something with apples, so it fits, I said, smiling. Okay, mama, how long will it take? Eri was drooling from the smell. About a minute, sweetie, I need to put the caramel drizzle, I told her. After I finished breakfast, we all sat down and ate. This is delicious. Hanami, do you cook often? Izuku asked me. Well, I started when I was 5, so 9 years of practice, I mumbled. Really, that is cool. Izuku said with a grin. Well, how else would I spend my 9.5 years alone? Plus it helped me survive. I didn't want to live off buying stuff, so a nice lady taught me to knit and crochet clothes. It was a nice stress releaser besides training, I said, looking at the ceiling. Do you remember who taught you? He asked. No, I don't really remember my past. It's all blurry, I said, frowning. Well, whoever taught you, I'm thankful because I got to meet you. He said to me. I felt my face turn red, so I turned to Eri. Eri, do you like it? I asked her. Yeah, mama, I love the apples. She said with stars in her eyes. At least you eat healthy, I muttered. Well, apples are delicious. I don't know how people could dislike them. She tilted her head confused. I laughed at her confused face. Eri then turns to Izuku. Can we go to the beach? She asked him. You have to ask your mom about that, he said with a smile. Eri then turns to me. Mama, can we go to the beach? Remember that we bought those matching swimsuits? She asked me. I have never been to a beach, so sure, but we would have to. stop by Izuku's house so he could grab some swimming shorts. If that's okay with him, I said with a smile. It's not a problem, I'm sure Mom would love to see Eri, so it's a bonus, Izuku said with a smile. Yeah, I've never been to a beach, which one are we going to? Eri asked, what about 𝗳𝗏𝗍𝗂𝗏? Izuku said the one you cleaned. I asked him, yup. There's never many people there, and if there's anyone there they usually will not bother you, he said, grinning at me. Sounds good, I'll go help Eri change, and then I'll change if you want, you can explore. I said, I may take you on that offer. He grinned as he said that. I walked away with Eri to her room with the matching swimsuits. Eri, will you need help? I asked her. No mama, she said as I handed the swimsuit to her. Okay, go in your bathroom and change, I'll change in your closet, I said to the 5-year-old. Okay? She said. Eri went in her bathroom to change while I went in her closet and grabbed my swimsuit and pulled the tags out and slip it on me, and Eri got the same one, but hers covers way more of her body. Our swimsuit tops were a coralish red with a few light blue spots, while the sleeves were light blue with a few coral spots. The bottom had coral on the sides and blue in the middle. So when I put mine on, I put my clothes over it and grab 3 towels and walk out to see Eri in her swimsuit. Eri, you need to put your clothes over it, I told her. Oh really? She tilted her head. Yes Eri, you have to wear your clothes over it until we get there, okay? I told her. Oh okay, she said, grinning after Eri puts her clothes on over it, and we head to the living room to see Izuku nodding off, so I decided to scare him. Wake up pretty boy, I yelled in his ear. Izuku jumps and looks at us. You girls ready? He asked us. Yup, we first have to stop at your place first, I said. As we leave, I locked the door and I picked up Eri. As we walk, I decided to try and talk to him. So Izuku, how do you feel about going to UA? I asked him. Well, I always thought I wouldn't be able to be a hero, so I feel great, he said, smiling. Well, what about your hobbies? I was curious about his. Well, since I was little I analyzed quirks by watching heroes and wrote everything down in notebooks. I currently have 13 of them, but one got burned a little. He started mumbling about his hobbies. Really, that's so cool, I said, grinning. Really? He said, confused. Yeah. Imagine you could collect a lot of quirk info on a villain and next time you face them you could have an advantage, I said to him. Now that you say that could be a smart idea, I'll make sure to add notebooks to my hero costume. Thanks Hanami, but we're already here, he said to me. I look up to see Izuku's house. Eri, are you ready to meet Ms. Midoriya? Yes, she cheered. I approached the door and was about to knock it. You don't have to knock, I have the keys, he said as he pulled a key out of his pocket. I blush a little out of embarrassment. Calm down puppy, he said out of the blue. My whole face was probably red by now. That was when I lost it. 𝗵𝗃 I nearly yelled. Yup, it's your new nickname. I mean, you're the only girl I've ever talked to and you're shy, loyal and sweet like a puppy dog. He patted my head, accidentally brushing my ears. Izuku, can you move your hand please? I asked him. Sorry, at least I know how to tease her now. It's okay, let's just get your swimming shorts so we can go, I said, smiling. Okay. He then unlocks the door and walks in. Izuku, you're home already? You left like 30 minutes ago. Fuji-san, what are you doing here? She asked me as me and Ms. Midoriya were talking. Izuku went to get his swimming shorts. Well, me, Izuku and Eri are heading to 𝗳𝗏𝗍𝗂𝗏 Beach, but Izuku needed to get his swimming shorts. I said to her, wait Eri. She looked at me. I turned around and lifted Eri up and turned back to Ms. Midoriya. This is my daughter that I mentioned before, Eri. Oh, I remember you saying how she was your light of your life, she said. Yup, and I'm proud to be her mom, BLD or not, I said, smiling. Mama, I love you. Eri wrapped her arms around my neck and buried her face in my neck. I look over to Ms. Midoriya and smile. I love you to Eri. Soon Midoriya comes out with blue shorts and a gray t-shirt. Let's go Hanami, he said, dragging me. Okay, Izuku, say bye Eri. Bye Ms. Midoriya, she said, waving in my arms. Bye Eri-chan, Ms. Midoriya said, gushing as Izuku shuts the door. He looks at me. Well, how did it go? He asked me. Well, seems like your mom likes Eri a lot, I said, amused. Well, she does adore kids, Izuku said, walking beside me. I can tell Izuku, she literally glomped me as soon as I was in the door. I informed him. Well, we don't get a lot of visitors, so she gets excited when we do get one, he said with a small smile. I understand that, but how crowded is 𝗳𝗏𝗍𝗂𝗏 Beach during the afternoon? I asked him. Well, no one really knows that it's clean, so chance that people are there is close to none, he said, smiling. Good, I want a sun bath in peace, I said while swinging Eri. Why not swim? He asked, confused. I freeze up and stopped walking. Well, about that. Oh, ain't the area appealing? I said, trying to change the subject. You can't swim, can you? There's the question I despised. I look over to Izuku. No, Eri can, but I can. I never learned how to remember how I said that I had never been to a beach. I said kinda embarrassed while putting Eri down since she wanted to walk in between us while grabbing my hand, but I didn't notice Het grabbing Izuku's hand. Yeah, but technically you have been to one, he said. The day we got accepted into UA, I asked you to meet me at 𝗣𝗏𝗿 beach. He said, smiling at me. Well, besides that I have never went close to big bodies of water because I knew I couldn't swim, I said, frowning. Well, how about I teach you how to swim? He looked over to me and smiled. You will teach me? I asked, kinda shocked. Sure, if you want to be a hero you'll need to know how to swim, he said, leaving no room for arguments. Good point, but what if I go under? I said, scared. I'll be there to catch you if you go under the water, don't worry, he said, and Eri jumped on me from the side. Yeah, Mama will be there, Eri said with a smile. I turned to Eri. I know you will, I said to her as we approached 𝗣𝗏𝗿 beach. I see Eri trying to remove her dress. Eri, what are you doing? I asked her curiously. Removing my dress so I can swim. She said more like a question. Come on, Eri, let's go change in the bathrooms, I said, picking her up. But can't we just take our clothes off here? I could literally die from her cuteness. No, some people don't know that we have swimwear on under our clothes, I said, trying to explain it to her. Oh, okay, she said, frowning. Be right back, Izuku, I shouted and headed to the changing rooms with Eri. After we change we head back to Izuku. I see there's no one around. At least no one is here to see me fail at swimming. I said dramatically. Oh, don't be dramatic, puppy, it's only me, you, and Eri. I turned around to see Izuku standing there. He turned towards the water and back to me. Come on, puppy. Before I even could understand the situation, I feel myself being picked up bridal style. Izuku put me down. After I said that, he just spins me around. Nope, he said, and walked towards the water. Eri's POV as I see my future dad pick up Mama, so I grabbed the phone Mama got me and snapped a picture and sent it to Uncle Hisashi. Eri sent picture at 1:30 p.m. Uncle looks, it looks like I'm getting a dad. She's finally learning how to swim to Omega. Uncle Hisashi, 𝗬𝗧𝗪 is. Where are you? Eri, 𝗣𝗏𝗿 beach. Why? Uncle Hisashi, thanks sweetie, but wasn't that beach a junk pile? Eri, Papa is responsible for the sudden cleaning up of the place. It was the way he trained for UA. I think. Uncle Hisashi, oh, did he get accepted? Eri, yes Papa, did. I think he's in class 1A. Uncle Hisashi, poor kid, expelled on the first day. Eri, I believe in Papa, he will make. If he doesn't then Uncle Zawa can and will have busted kneecaps. Hammer. Eri, I have to go, I really want to swim so bye. Hisashi POV. After Eri stopped texting I look up at Hitoshi. Well, how is she? He asked me. I show him the pictures. Well, as long as he is good to her and treats her right I have no problems with it. I was kinda shocked from what he said. Then Shota came in. What's going on? He asked me. I show him the phone. Well, I could expel him the first day, he mumbled out loud, but then Eri would probably bust your kneecaps or worse, I said and shivered at the thought. What do you mean? Shota asked me confused. Did you not see the text? She called him Papa. She's clearly already doted on him. And he's in the same class as Hanami, so she's bound to invite him to eat with her and Eri. And she literally just threatened to bust your kneecaps. I said to him, well, let it happen. She deserves to fall in love with all she's been through. Hitoshi said bluntly while getting him a drink of coffee. We look at each other. I guess she does. I sent Eri a text to video her trying to swim. Hanami's POV. I noticed Eri texting someone, then she started to record Izuku attempting to teach me how to swim. I remember that Eri only has 4 contacts, mine, Izawa's, Yamada, and Hitoshi, so it had to be one of them. What are you looking at, puppy? Izuku must have noticed me staring. I look over to Izuku. Well, Eri is texting someone and she only has 4 contacts, which are technically family to us. I said, scratching my head. So you're wondering who texted her? He asked me. I nod. Well, don't think about it, just focus on me, so try and paddle to me. He then goes out a little further into the water. I then get back in the water and remember what Izuku told me to do. Insert swimming instructions. Because I can't swim, I only know how to doggy paddle. I open my eyes to see that I'm moving, but then I stopped. Then I went under for a few seconds before someone grabbed me by the waist. I hope you know you can't stop paddling or you'll go underwater. I look up to see Izuku. Sorry, I murmured, it's not your fault. I did that too when I first got it and Oka-san lectured me, he said, and grabbed me by the waist and lifts me up over his shoulders. And you did well, at least you can doggy paddle now, but now you need to learn to swim using your quirks, he said, grinning at me. I look at him like he just killed someone. And I'm the someone. Why do you look like a deer in headlights? He asked me. It was hard enough to swim with 2 legs, imagine swimming with 4. I said with my tail wrapping around his arm. Well, let's watch a video how a fox swims and try that. Remember, I won't let you drown, he said, and so I agreed. So that's how we're about probably in 4 feet deep water, but I'm currently on Izuku's head in my EV form shaking like a leaf. I'm starting to rethink my choices until Izuku grabbed my little figure and held me a little above the water, so I looked at him. Hanami, remember it should come to instincts. If it doesn't work, squeak or yip loudly, he said. Right, I should mention that we read on how to teach someone with an animal quirk that changes forms, and it said it should come naturally. So we're trying it naturally first. As soon as he lowered me in the water, my tail went between my legs and my ears lowered. You good, Hanami? He asked me, probably aware I was still scared. I look at him and nod. When I'm put in the water on instinct, my legs started paddling. I was about to stop paddling until, Hanami, remember, don't stop paddling, Izuku shouted. After I paddled to Izuku, I looked over to see Izuku reaching to pick me up, so I let him. Well, now you can swim, congrats, he said, lifting me up. So I yipped at him and jumped on his head. As we reached land, I noticed that Eri was laying down sunbathing. So I sneaked up on her and squeaked at her, Mama, don't scare me like that, she said grumpy. I transformed back and chuckled a little. Sorry, sweetie, I apologized. It's okay. Mama, did you finally learn how to swim? She asked me. She doggy paddled. Does that count? He asked her. Yup, thank you, Papa, she said with a smile. I swear I turned 50 shades of red. Izuku looks at me with an eyebrow raised, with that idiotic amused smile. No problem, Eri. And then Eri wrapped her arms around him and whispered something into his ear. All I heard was a okay, so I gave up. After we changed, I picked up Eri and rested her on my hip. Are we ready to leave? I looked over to Izuku. Yup, we have everything, he said, looking at me. Yeah, horsey. I heard Eri say to me, okay, let's go. I said to her. When we arrive home, I look over to Izuku. I said to him, yes, Hanami. He replied to me, thank you for teaching me how to swim. I told him with a small smile, it's no problem, you may need to know how to swim soon, he said, looking up at the sky. Maybe we can have a sleepover sometime. We also have many rooms. Maybe when we get to know each other better, you can have a room to decorate, I said, thinking about all the empty rooms in the house. Eri stares at me with starry eyes while Izuku looked shocked for a minute, but then he smirked at me. I looked at them confused. What did I say? Mama, you technically just admitted that you want to get to know Papa. She cheered and spinned in a circle, now knowing what I said and her calling him Papa. Well, Eri, it's totally your bedtime, so I'll cook mac and cheese tonight with chicken nuggets, I said, trying to distract her. Okay, I'll go bathe and put on my apple onesie, she said as she booked it to the house. She will do anything for chicken nuggets. I chuckled at her obliviousness. I felt someone grab my waist and pull me into a hug. I looked up to see Izuku's emerald eyes. Well, seems like she likes me, he chuckles. Yup, I hope you don't mind her calling you that, I said as I felt him tighten his grip. Oh, I don't mind. Besides, I already have a lot of responsibility. What's a lot more going to do? He laughed. She's a really sweet kid. You would think her past would be sunshine and rainbows, I said with a sad smile. That reminds me, here, he hands me his contact info on a piece of paper. I already have your contact. I looked at him confused. No, it's for Eri. You said that she only had family on there, so here's her, a father figure, he said, looking in my eyes. I jumped at him and hugged him. Thank you, I said with a small smile. It's no problem, she's a sweetheart. She really is. You know, you can come over whenever you want, I told him. Is that a offer? Izuku smirked at me. I mean, I guess, I said, looking at him. I'll see you in school soon. Plus, All Might wanted me to train a little bit more, Izuku said, so let's walk to school together when it starts so we can chat, I offered. But you have to drop off Eri at the principal office, right? Izuku asked me. Yup, so we have to be earlier than most people because I'll have to find the principal office. I have no idea where it is, I said, thinking about how hard it will be to find the principal office. Well, see you when school starts, I guess, he said as I turned to go inside. I feel something warm against my cheek. See you soon, puppy, Izuku said and walked away. My face probably gave me away, so I booked it inside and started to cook Eri some food. Since I wasn't hungry, I just made enough for Eri. After Eri came down and ate, she headed to bed, so I decided to do the same. After I bathed, I changed into my PJs and covered up. Ding, received from Izuku. Good night, puppy. Sent to Izuku. Good night, Izuku. I smiled at my phone. One look at him, and he looks innocent, but when he shows his true colors, he's not that innocent, so I lay down and go to sleep. Warning, BLD warning, and cussing. PS. I know nothing on most medical subjects, so it is what it is. Don't like it, don't read it. Time skip. Action thoughts texting Hanami's POV after that day me and Eri trained our quirks. I was now able to be the size of our Arabian full 61 inches tall I think, and Eri could almost rewind a broken bone. When I accomplished to this I was ecstatic but tired, so every day I went out and practiced until it wasn't that tiring. Same with Eri, but she still couldn't turn her quirk off within 10 minutes, and that iron tail thing I did at the entrance exam I decided to name my abilities so I don't confuse them. I will admit Izuku helped me, and we found a new ability we decided to call Helping Hand because it boosts the other person's quirk. We found this out accidentally and I was touching Yamato when this happened and he used his quirk, and let's just say my ears were filled with BLD. And I have a new secret move up my sleeves. So now it's time to start you. They already sent the uniforms. Yes, I said plural. They sent one for Eri too. In case you don't know what the uniform looks like, but she wears black fishnet leggings while Eri wears black leggings with her. After we got dressed I fix us French toast with strawberries and Nutella. I decided to make one for Izuku since we're meeting up to walk to school. Eri, are you done? I asked her. Yup, let's go see Papa. Eri said excited. We kinda got used to her calling Izuku Papa. It still made me flustered, but Izuku just laughs when my face turns beet red. As soon as we step outside I lock the door, but then I feel someone grab my waist. I sighed. Good morning Izuku, I said as I turned around. How did you know it was me? He asked. You always grab my waist from behind and your footsteps aren't really quiet, I stated, wiggling my ears. By the way Izuku, here's a French toast, I said as I handed him a piece of the fresh made food. Oh thanks, it's delicious as always. If he was trying to flirt with me again it worked? Oh stop it, I don't want a red face in the morning, I said. He then turns to Eri. Good morning pumpkin, Izuku said to her as she glomped him. Good morning Papa, she said, hugging him. Come on you two, we need to get there early so Principal Nizu can tell me how to get to Eri during lunch, I said to the right. He picks Eri up and puts her on his shoulders. Let's go. He cheered. She screamed when we arrived. I took Eri from Izuku. Well, we'll be on the way to the principal office, I said, smiling. Okay, see ya later puppy, Izuku said as he walked the other way towards the classroom. Yeah, see you later Izuku. We then split up and I had zero idea where the principal office was. So I wandered the halls with Eri on my back. She fell asleep as soon as we entered the building. After 5 minutes later I was most likely lost because I see a girl with long periwinkle hair with a blonde boy walking up to me. Are you lost? He said. 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘, is she your kid? What's your quirk? The blonde hair boy then covers her mouth. I'm sorry about 𝗧𝗍𝗔, are you lost? The blonde boy asked me. Why yes, I need to drop my daughter off at the principal office then get to class 1A, I said quietly. We can take you there, the blonde boy said. Okay? I said with a small smile. As we all walked to the principal's office 𝗳𝗏𝗧𝗏 told me his and 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏's names, so I decided to let them ask questions. Is she yours? 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏 asked me who. I probably looked like a confused puppy. It's the girl on your back. She at Jimmy up no pointed at the sleeping Eri. Oh, this is my daughter Eri and she's 5, I said smiling. So you had her at 10? No. I adopted her, I said quietly. Aren't you a little young for that? 𝗳𝗏𝗧𝗏 asked me. Well yeah, I'm 14, but I did skip a year before I dropped out to take online courses, I said with a huff. Does anyone know about your daughter? 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏 asked me with a grin. Well, my sensei, the principal and one classmate does know about her, I said with a hand on my chin. Do you mean Papa? Mama, I heard a soft voice say. We turn our heads to see Eri awake. Have a nice nap sweetie, I asked her. Yes Mama, but do you mean Papa? I sighed and my face turned red. Why yes, I mean Papa. So you have a boyfriend? 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏 asked me. Well, we are not dating but we're interested in each other, so maybe. I said unsure. What's he look like? 𝗳𝗏𝗧𝗏 asked. Mean green hair, emerald eyes, symmetrical freckles that shape diamonds on his cheeks. Need more features. I said to them. Very Pacific, but no, because we're here, 𝗳𝗏𝗧𝗏 said, pointing at a door. We'll wait here, then we will take you to your classroom. Okay, I'll be right back. I whispered. I knock on the door. When I hear the come in I open the door to see Principal Nizu and Chio. Oh hi Chio, I said looking at the short lady. Hello dear, I see you brought Eri, she said smiling. Well, they gave 2 uniforms and one was child size, so I assumed you're gonna teach Eri. I said honestly to her. Yes and no, Chio said looking to Nizu. I look over to Nizu. Well, I will teach your daughter after lunch because you have hero classes after lunch tomorrow and someone is bound to get hurt. And tomorrow Chio's gonna work with Eri on her quirk, but today Eri gonna watch what your class is gonna do today because we all know Aizawa ain't going to the orientation and we need to keep her a secret as long as we can, he said looking at Eri who was hugging Chio. Well, 3 students already know about 𝗧𝗧𝗏, I said to him. Nizu asked, 𝗧𝗏𝗵𝗃𝗀, 𝗧𝗏𝗍𝗧𝗏 and Izuku Midoriya. I said all their names. You mean Papa, right, Mama? 𝗧𝗧𝗏 asked me as I turned to her. As Papa, I said with a red face. She dotted on him, didn't she? Chio looks over to me and smirked, amused at the little scene. Well, she started calling him Papa after he taught me how to swim, so maybe. I said, well, you have class to go to, so you can leave her here and I'll have her watch your classes today. Nizu said to me, thank you, Principal Nizu. I bowed down. It's no problem, now come here, 𝗧𝗏𝗏, let's get to work, Nizu said to her, pulling out some papers. 𝗧𝗏𝗏 wrapped her arms around me. Bye, Mama, will I see you at lunch? She tilted her head. Of course, 𝗧𝗏𝗏, I'll even bring Papa, how about that? I asked her. Well, she shouted, happy. She'll be in my office during lunch, and here, take this, he said as he handed me 2 keys. What's it for? I asked him, confused. There's a room on the roof that no one uses, so you, 𝗧𝗏𝗏, and Mr. Midoriya can use that to eat in peace. Since barely anyone uses the roof, I'll give 𝗧𝗏𝗏 a key too, so she can sneak in there when you can't get to her, he said, looking at me. And 𝗧𝗏𝗏, by 𝗧𝗏𝗏, I love you, I told her. By Mama, I love you too. She told me back while walking over to Nizu. I walk out of the principal office and look over to Hato-san and Togata-kun. Well, can you lead me to 1A? I shyly asked them. Togata-kun then jumped up. Of course, follow us, we're from class 3A, so we used to be in that classrooms, he said in a happy tone. Okay, I said after 7 minutes later of answering their questions. We arrived, but I saw Aizawa outside in his yellow sleeping bag. So why are you late? He asked, glaring at me. It was hard to say goodbye, I said, a little sad. 𝗧𝗏𝗏, I'm guessing? He said, amuses. Yup, I already know that you're skipping orientations, so where's the changing rooms? I asked him. Well, I have trained you well, he said, smirking at me. I was trained by the best, I said to him. He threw me a track suit. Get changed and meet me at the training ground while I get your new classmates, he said to me. Squirming into the classroom, I heard a few screams. I look over to Hato-san. See, can you lead the way? I asked her, a little scared of her hyper energy. Of course. I'm surprised my ears aren't bleeding when we get there. Hato-san had to go back to class, so I changed into the track suit. I then checked my phone. Aizawa-sensei, I forgot to mention your uniform is a little different cause we ran out of tail mutation breathes, so we had to give you shorts. Enjoy. I put my phone away and look in the mirror, so when I'm done I head to the directions Aizawa-sensei gave me. When I arrive I see Aizawa-sensei but no one else. Where is everyone? I asked, confused. Well, when I told them they had a final classmate who had to go to the principal office before class, they all assumed you got in trouble except for the broccoli boy. He narrowed his eyes at me. So, is he the one 𝗧𝗏𝗏 calls Papa? He said with a big smirk. My face started to turn 40 shades of red. Well, he asked with a brow raised, how do you know about that? I said to him, confused on how he knew. Well, 𝗧𝗏𝗏 told me she got a new daddy, so I assumed that it was the green-haired boy because he matches her description. He said, looking at, so you were the one that 𝗧𝗏𝗏 was texting? I asked him, oh no. She texted Hisashi, he just told me, he said, and she also told me you reach a new limit a few days ago, so can I see? He asked. I nod and shift as soon and looked up at Aizawa-sensei. He nods. Good, now can you? He was interrupted, because I saw people in the track suit coming out of the door. So in my attempt not to be noticed I made myself smaller, but that failed because I was suddenly grabbed by a warm hand by the tail, so I squeak very loudly in alarm, gaining the attention of everyone around me. What's a pipsqueak like this doing here? If this is the student that was in the principal office, then why were they there? I heard an anger gruff voice say, can I recommend you put her down? Izuku tried to warn him. Or what, Deku-ch? Oh, he asked for it. I start to focus my power into my tail, so my tail started to glow a white color while no one but Aizawa, Izuku and a half-and-half-haired boy noticed and got startled. I focused and little stars fly out of my tail and hit him hard enough to get his grip loose so I can get out of his hand. What the hell? He screamed. IW warned why she hates having her tail pulled by strangers. He yelped, and how would you know, Deku? He screamed before he could grab me again. I run behind someone random and curl up behind them hoping they would save my poor hide or fur. Move it half and half beast. I heard the angry Pomeranian scream. No, a monotone voice spoke up, so I look up to see the half-white half-red-haired boy. He looked over to me. Now I'm gonna die. And we aren't supposed to use our quirks yet? He sounded so emotionless it's kinda scary. I shake my head and run over to Izuku-sensei and he shakes his head at me. Todoroki, I asked her to change because she broke her record from last time and I wanted to check now. Form a line and Fuji-sen, come here, I still haven't seen your new limit. As everyone else forms a line, I walked up to Izuku and said, okay, last time you broke your record it was the size of a full-grown English Mastiff. So show me your new limits, he said a bit too eager. I nod and start getting bigger until I couldn't anymore and I heard gasps and Ws around me. Okay, he must have been planning this because he then came up to me with a tape measure. Stand still, he said, pulling on the tape measure. I nod as he checks my height. You used to stand at 27 inches and now you stand at 61 inches tall. He gives me a secret Izuku grin. Good job, kid, he said, praising me like a dog. I jump in joy and prance over to Izuku. Wow, you really did break your limit, Hanami. And he picked me up and started to pet my head. Alright Fuji-sen, please transform back and stop snuggling up to Midoriya, Izuku bluntly said, probably trying to embarrass me, and it worked. I jumped out of Izuku's arms and focused on shifting and I hear comments and gasps. In case you forgot what she looked like, hello, I'm Fuji Hanami and I'm your final classmate, I hope we can get along, I said with my usual soft voice and bowed. I then turned to Izuku-sensei. Now let's start. Heroes don't mess around, I said quietly. Right? Izuku nods. Izuku-sensei turns around. Bakugo, since you were second in the entrance exam, how far was you throw in middle school? He asked the blonde now known as Bakugo. 67 meters, Bakugo said, smirking. He tossed a ball to Bakugo. Try it with your quirk now, he said with a blank face. I then see Bakugo with a smirk. Die. Boom, 2 meters, the machine beeped. I yelp in pain that was very loud and I was close to it too. I felt a piercing pain in my ears, so I put my hand up to my ears and feel something warm and wet start to drip. I sighed at the BLD because it's a normal occurrence. That looks fun, we can use our quirks, said a pink-haired girl with horns. I stiffen and turned to Izuku-sensei to see him glaring at the class. Oh god, we're going to die. Well, since it seems like fun, last place will be expelled, he said without a care in the world. What? But that's not fair, a brown-haired girl yelled. Earthquakes, natural disasters and villains won't be fair. I have 3 years to train and teach you how to be heroes. Each class is run by how the teacher seems like doing it, meaning I can and will expel, he said, glaring at us. I sigh at his speech till I felt the BLD flow down my head, making people notice and some gasp. And Fuji-sen, come here, when I saw your file I knew this would happen since your ears are very sensitive to loud noises, he said, pulling out that first aid kit. I look over to see him opening the ear first aid kit and pulled out all the cotton swabs and a few cotton ball. Thank you, sensei, I said as I walk over to him, BLD dripping out my ears still with a piercing pain. He then proceeded to clean the BLD out of my ears, and my classmates except Izuku looked interested why he was doing it, so I try to listen into their conversation. How the heck is her ears bleeding? It's been like 3 minutes. I heard the yellow-haired boy I saved in the entrance exam yell out, and Izuku decided to answer his question. Well, Hanami has a quirk that gives her features of an animal that has very good hearing and stamina. So her ear could be badly damaged by super loud sounds, plus she was really close to that explosion, he said, looking at me smiling. You two seem close, a purple-haired boy with ball on his head said to Izuku. I'm done. How are your ears still bleeding? Izuku asked me. Well, I was very close to the explosion and the piercing pain is still there, I replied, wincing. He sighed. Have Midoriya take you to Recovery Girl after the test. He then hands me some cotton ball for mutation ear quirks. It should drain the BLD until we're done. So he turned to the class. We're going to start with the 50-meter dash, he shouted. When it was my turn, I shifted and turned to see who I was facing. When I turned, I saw a purple-haired boy at the beginning. As Izuku said go, I dashed at my highest speed with agility to boost my speed. 43 seconds was my score. It was faster than last time. After a few seconds, the purple-haired boy ran past the line. 54 seconds, it beeped. He motioned us towards the other students, so we both walked back over there and I transformed back. Time skip. After everyone else finished the 50-meter dash. So now we were standing inside a gym with grip machines in front of us. If you need assistance, just ask someone to help you when you're done. Show me your score, Izuku said, and got in his sleeping bag. I needed someone to hold the machine so I could bite it. I didn't know anyone, so I walked up to a black-haired girl who looked very friendly and wouldn't mind. Excuse me, can you hold this so I can shift and bite it? I sometimes hate my stuttering. "Oh sure, I'm 𝗧𝗵𝗲, but you can call me Momo," she said with a smile. "I'm Fuji Hanami and thank you for helping me," I said with a small smile. I handed her the machine and shifted. I motioned her to bend down with my paw, and she did so I could reach. I focus on my jaws and my teeth become sharper and I accidentally bit through it with my teeth, but my grip strength with bite was around 95 pounds. Last time my bite force was around 68 pound. "Oh dear, Mr. Izuku won't be happy," Momo said worried, but I then got idea. I look at her and motion to put it down and she did. I wave my tail as saying bye and pick up the machine. I walk over to Izuku to see him laying down dozing off and the class was watching me as saying don't do it, but I got on 2 legs and dropped the machine straight on his face. I swear I heard some of the class snort and snicker. "Ugh, what do you want, Fuji-san?" he said, opening his eyes to see me. I paw at the broken machine. "Did you break it?" he asked, surprised. I nodded with a cheeky grin. He sighed and turns to the class. "Is everyone done?" As soon as everyone else finishes, he then turns to the door. Next is the long jump, and I had a plan for it. When it was my turn I was still shifted, so I just made my size bigger and slowly hardened my tail to iron. "Look at her tail," the tape boy said. "That's the same thing she did saving me and Kirishima." The yellow Pikachu said. I then run towards the sand and jump, but before I do I slam my tail on the ground, sending me across the sand and to the end of the long jump. I squeak at Izuku and he nods, so I transform back. I then make my way back to the group of students. Next, repeated side steps. I was only able to get around 20, but that's decent. And now we're doing the ball throw. "Okay, whoever was first on the entrance exam, come forward please." He gestures to me. I sigh and step up to him. "You know what to do," he said. I nod and step in the circle and throw it to Izuku, and he raised a brow. "Well, I need someone to throw it to me, and you're the only one fast enough to get out of the way without getting hit by a star," I said to make a point. "Stars?" a pink-skinned girl said, looking at me confused. "What's she talking about?" the tape boy said. Izuku looked excited. It made sense since he helped me design this move. "You know something, Midoriya?" Karo, a green-haired girl, asked him. "Tell me, Deku." The Pomeranian yelled at Izuku. "Okay, let's get this over with." I transform and jump high in the air. As soon as Izuku throws the ball in the air, then he books it, confusing a lot of people. Until they saw my body glow and little white and big yellow stars fly out, hitting the ball and sending it away with smoke behind it. I landed on my feet and waited. As soon as the machine beeped, he turned it around to see it say meters. The machine beeped. "She beat Bakugo," the red-haired male said. "She wasn't kidding when she said stars," the pink-skinned girl said, amazed. "Whoa. The area around her is destroyed," the tape boy said in awe. The person saying that wasn't lying. There were star-shaped holes everywhere. So I tried my best to dig and fix the holes, and after 4 minutes later I think Izuku gave up on waiting. "Okay, we have one more, so we'll just move away. Fuji-san, just take your time and fill in most of the holes," he said. "Probably done with destroying the field." I nod and just focused on filling the holes, and I snap out when I hear yelling. "Deku, how did you do that?" Bakugo screamed. I turn around to see Bakugo running at Izuku, so I dash over there like my life depended on it, and when I'm in front of him I raised my paws up and a cyan-like barrier appears in front of us, so when Bakugo hit it the barrier bounced back. His explosion. When I get my hands on Wyo, his speech was cut short when Izuku caught him in his capture weapon. "Stop using your quirk, you're going to give me dry eye," he said, stopping his quirk. When Bakugo left I put the barrier down and felt blood drip out of my ear again. "Midoriya, can you check to see if Fuji-san's ears are still bleeding? She should have cotton ball in her ears if she didn't forget." When he said that I realized I forgot to put in the cotton ball, so I was picked up and I saw Midoriya, who was gently petting my ears out the corner of my eye. "Well, her ears are clotted with blood," he said, looking in my ears. "After we do ranks, take her to recovery girl and get fixed up yourself," he said, glaring at his finger. I look at Izuku to realize he broke his finger. If this becomes a habit I will possibly have to beat it out of him. I saw my ranking was 3rd as Izuku showed the ranking before saying, "It was lying about expelling you, it was a logical ruse." He smirked at their faces. Then Momo spoke up. "Maybe I should have said something, you think?" They all screamed. As me and Izuku head to recovery girl, I decided to jump off of him and transform back. "That was a workout, how did you do?" I asked him. "Last place," he muttered. "Well, that means you have more room for improvement than others." I look at the positive, I told him with a smile. "I guess you're right, but how was Eri after you left her with the principal office?" he asked me. "Well, she's expecting us at the roof during lunchtime, and here," I handed him one of the keys 𝗍𝗧𝗍𝗍 gave me. "What is the key for?" He looked at it. "It's for a special room on the roof for me, You and 𝗧𝗍, I said, so how are going to hide her from our classmate? I can't always be with you at lunch, and I heard the girls were going to ask you to spend lunch with them tomorrow to try and break your shell, he said looking at me worried. Well, I guess I'll run off before they can ask me. I do have a shy personality, so I can use it to my advantage and book it when someone approaches me, I replied to him with a small smile. The class knows we're close, so if anyone approaches me they're probably going to ask me how to get close to you, Izuku said to me. Well, we aren't dating yet, so I don't have a reason to be jealous yet. I winked at him trying to fluster him. Nice try, but puppy, it takes more than that to fluster me, plus I know you love it when I call you puppy. He said grinning. How do you know? How the heck does he know that? I asked him. Your tail gives it away, he said pointing at my tail. I turned to see my poofy tail wagging like a dog. Why, I am defeated. We're already here. Izuku opened the door. When we get inside we see Chiyo standing there with her arms crossed. Well, Midoriya, it's only the first day and you have already broke a bone. So sit on the bed. She probably expected this because there was a bed already set up. Chiyo then turns to me. Aizawa already texted me. What happened to you? I know. You can barely hear, am I right? I nodded at her. I started losing it while talking to Izuku. I told her with a wince. Well, sit next to him so I can check your ears. I nod and sit next to Izuku on the bed. Soon Chiyo got her Raleigh stool and kissed Izuku's forehead. You'll be fine now, let me check on Hanami. She then rolls over and grabs her otoscope and rolls back to me. As soon as she even touched my ear I squeak and flinched from a shock of pain. Chiyo looks at me and sighed. Let me grab my ear surgeon set, and rolls away to her cabinet. I look over to her and nod, while Izuku looks at me in shock. How many times does this happen for her to sigh like that? He almost screeched. Well, it happens at least twice a month, so she had a tool designed to drain the BLD and find the source. I said like it was a normal thing. Is it always this bad? He looked worried. Well, this is the first time it has made me flinch from pain, so yeah. I said unsure. A knock on the door brought our attention to it. Am I a mouse, a bear, or a moose? I'm the principal of UA. 𝗍𝗂 said with a grin. I looked to the clock to see it was close to lunchtime. Then Chiyo came back and looked over to 𝗍𝗂. 𝗍𝗂, I need you to order a new machine for Hanami's ears to stabilize her hearing, so this hopefully won't happen again at all. Why? He said smiling. Because she keeps rupturing her eardrum. I'm surprised she ain't crying in pain. I mean, if she wants me to, I will cry in pain. Oh, I'll have it so it'll arrives tomorrow. Oh, and here's your daughter. She's amazing company to have tea with and spy on classes. He said a little bit too happy that made me BLD red. But Izuku just chuckled and bowed to the principal. Thank you, Principal 𝗍𝗂, for taking care of our 𝗧𝗏. He was interrupted by 𝗧𝗍 jumping on him. Papa. 𝗧𝗍 runs to him and jumps on him, wrapping her hands around his neck. Hello, Pumpkin, how is today so far? He asked 𝗧𝗍, putting her in his lap. It's amazing, Papa. We watched your group and I saw that Mama protected you with her secret move. But when I saw the big bomb man pick Mama up by the tail I got scared. But then Mama shot him with stars. She said, gesturing everything that happened with her arm. I was amazing, wasn't I, 𝗧𝗍? I asked her. Yeah, Mama. She smiled at me. Another person knocked on the door and Aizawa came in. How's your ears? He asked and looked at my ear, which were still bleeding. Well, that explosion ruptured my eardrums so bad I guess Chiyo has to go get something to drain the BLD. I said like it was normal. I'll tell Mike you won't be in his class today. You're skipping the rest of the day. I'm pretty sure if you step out this room you'll scream in pain since everyone is yelling or screaming at each other. He informed me. Then he turns to Izuku, who was holding 𝗧𝗍. Problem child you'll be heading to English with. Present Mike, just spend time with your daughter, and if the class ask worse Hanami, just say she had to be put to sleep until tomorrow because of the pain. Then recovery girl will stabilize her eardrums tomorrow, and they were unstable the moment she heard that explosion. We look over to see Chiyo with a long tube, cotton ball, syringes and a mask. What's the mask for? I asked, confused. Well, if someone comes to visit you put on the mask. I'm going to connect to a machine and just lay still, then it's believable, she said. I will admit that's smart. That's actually a good plan, I muttered out loud. Oh, and Hanami, I turned to Aizawa. The girls plan on visiting you after English. You might want to eat then hide 𝗧𝗍, he said looking at 𝗧𝗍. I looked over to Chiyo. Is there anywhere she can hide? I asked her. Under my desk and in the closet is the only spots she would fit in, Chiyo said looking at 𝗧𝗍. Okay. I turned to Izuku and 𝗧𝗍. We should eat so you can get to class, I said to them, which earned a nod. I brought lunch for you problem children, Aizawa said as he pulled out 2 bags. After we ate and played with 𝗧𝗍 for a bit, Aizawa came to get Izuku for English. Bye Izuku, have fun, I said, and he nodded and put 𝗧𝗍 on my lap. One of us will text you when they get out the classroom. And start heading here, 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 said and dragged Izuku by the back of his uniform making me laugh. So I nod and wave bye to them. Ch1 stands up, now let's get the BLD out and put 𝗵𝗃 in for now. After a gruesome and painful 10 to 20 minutes later she was able to clean out all the BLD to see my ruptured eardrum. She put 𝗵𝗃 in my ear, then we heard a ding, so I checked my phone received from Izuku at 1:30. They're on their way. Hide Eri. Eri got under Kyo's desk and I got in bed and put the mask on. As soon as I did I closed my eye and heard the door open. Talk about timing. By the frantic voice I could tell it was Momo talking to Ch1 first. Recovery girl, how is she doing? She asked, probably looking at me. Well, I had to put her into a deep sleep because of the pain until tomorrow, so the equipment I need to stabilize her unstable eardrums arrived. Ch1 replied, what do you mean unstable? I heard them all scream. Yes dearies, her ears are very sensitive. Enough if someone like Present Mike screamed in her ear she would probably be deaf for a few days. Ch1 told them, is it hard to fix Kero? I heard a croaky voice speak. Well, this ain't the first time this has happened, so no, but it would have hurt her to be awake until the equipment arrives, so I put her in a deep sleep so she won't feel the pain in her ears. Ch1 said to girls, that's what Midoriya told us. A new voice said, well, I could show you what is going on with her. I hear Ch1 walking up to me and pull out the BLD soaked cotton ball and replace them with new ones. I just changed these about 20 minutes ago and they're already bleeding through. Ch1 informed them, do you need more cotton ball? I could make you some? Momo asked her kindly, well, the kind I use are for heavy bleeding and I have a lot, so don't worry dear, your friend will be in class by tomorrow if you all don't scare her away. She said to the girl, what do you mean by scare her away? I hear a squeaky voice ask her, I mean if she wakes up and is meet with a bunch of people she'll close herself back into her shell, and if she needs help it takes the poor girl all her courage to ask for it. You'll have to wait for her to come to you. She said, probably looking at me, well, we have math next by Recovery Girl, thanks for the advice. Momo said to the old lady, as soon as I hear the door shut I turn the machine off and take the mask off my face. Well, they seemed worried about you. Ch1 said to me, why would you tell them that I'm shy? I said to the aged hero, well, you would do exactly what I said you would do, so if they crowd you have every right to be scared and run. And it's actually very true. She said, looking at me, now since they know you're in the nurse office you'll need to stay hooked up if you go to sleep because the girls will probably visit in the morning before lessons start. So I'll wake you after I get ready to stabilize your ears with the machine supposed to arrive tomorrow. Ch1 said to me, but I wanted to know about something else. What about Eri? I asked her. She will stay with 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 tonight. Ch1 said, so I'm staying here then? I asked, yes, because I have to keep that ruptured eardrum healing, or you can say bye-bye to your hearing. She sassed me, fine, but I am getting suddenly more tired. I told her, feeling a little bit tired, probably because all that BLD loss from your ears. I heard someone say we turn our heads to see 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 and 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗧𝗏. Little listener, when I heard what happened earlier I had to keep my composure in front of my students. But what caused her ears to bleed? He looked confused. Well, 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗃, her eardrums are ruptured, meaning her ears will be in pain. I'm impressed that she's not crying from it. Ch1 informed him, will she be in class tomorrow? 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 asked he, after I use a new machine to stabilize her ears she will be fine and I recommend that whatever happened doesn't happen again. She said happily, but what to cause her eardrums so much damage on the first day? 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗃 screeched, well, I was too close to bakugo and he used his quirk to throw the ball and that hurt. I said, remembering how loud that explosion was. I will try not to team them up, but All Might is teaching hero lessons tomorrow, so no promises. 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 warned Ch1, ain't that going to be hard as a skeleton figure? I asked them. They turned to me shocked. And how did you figure it out? Ch1 asked me, well, the day we visited you Izuku messaged me saying to meet him at Dagobah Beach and he introduced All Might and me, but he was already in his deflated skeleton mode. You know it a secret, right? 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 said to me, but I think that BLD loss getting to me, so Ch1 just hook me up and tell Eri I love her. Then I just plopped back down on the bed and fell asleep. Possible BLD warning and cussing action thoughts. Texting Hanami's POV before I open my eye. I hear voices, so I keep my eyes shut. I know you're awake dearie, the machine came, so let's stabilize your ears. I open my eyes to see Ch1 and 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 looking at me. So did the machine come in? My ears are very sore. I asked her, wincing. Yes, so stay still or I'll have 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 hold you down and this will hurt very bad. Well, at least she warned me and didn't sugarcoat it. Time skip brought to you by Hanami screaming in pain and 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 gaining some scratch marks on accident. Poor Hanami, after about 1 hour my eardrums were stabilized and fixed. Now I got these headphones that you can use, they'll block most sound out but use them if you need them, Chiyo told me while handing them to me. I nodded and looked over to Aizawa. How's Eri? I asked him. She's with Nizu since it's lunchtime. He said to me, oh okay, lunchtime. I yelled and turned to face Chiyo. How long was I asleep? I asked Chiyo. Your vitals spiked yesterday, so I gave you sleeping meds to help you sleep, but you slept through half a day of school. She said, okay, but does that mean I'm free for class? I asked her to make sure I could leave. Yup, but please be careful with your ears please. I think she knows that's impossible, but I nod anyway. I'll try. I said as I make my way to the classroom. I decided to text Izuku. Sent to Izuku 12 o'clock. Hey, I'm awake and heading to the classroom. Can you bring me some food? Received from Izuku at 12:02. Sure. What do you want? Sent to Izuku at 12:04. I guess rice and chicken with some carrots please. Received from Izuku at 12:06. Got it. See you there, puppy. My tail starts to wag and I chuckle at the nickname. He knows how to fluster me, but his innocent act is going to kill me. Once I arrive at the classroom, I see my desk was by Izuku's desk, so I just put my stuff there. Sorry, Siro. He is taking Minatta's seat and Minatta is behind Sato. So when did you wake up? He asked me about an hour ago, but Chiyo was fixing my ears then stabilized them. I replied, did it hurt? He looked at me with worry. Well, an hour of screaming and Aizawa having to hold me down for about the last 5 minutes. Yes, it did hurt. I also accidentally scratched him a bit. I didn't sugarcoat it. Aizawa-sensei was there. He asked me. Yup, I stated. I started to eat and after I finished threw away my trash away. Well, what do you think will happen today? He asked me. Well, we're supposed to be doing hero class today, so All Might will be here. I replied, did you submit your costume? He asked me. Yup, did you? I asked him. Yup, mine's a little flashy, but it will shrink and fit on me when I transform hopefully. As soon as I said that the bell rang, but not that loud. I'll have to thank Nizu later. People started to fill the classroom until I heard a female voice shout, Fuji Hanami. The pink-skinned girl shouted at me. I was so startled and thought I was being attacked. So I transformed and buried myself into Izuku's book bag, which was super comfy by the way. Hanami. Calm down, no one's going to attack you, Izuku said and tried to get me out of his book bag, but I just buried myself into his cozy book bag. What do you mean attack? I turned my head to see a pink-skinned girl and a red-haired boy. I can't tell you what I meant, cause if Hanami wanted to tell someone she would. Why is she so jumpy? She asked him. Why are you asking me? He asked her, still trying to get me out of his book bag. Mina. Chill, she'll open up to us eventually, the red-haired boy said. But Ijiro. She whined. She won't open up if you crowd her for answers, he said, looking at her. I look over to him thankfully, but he saw and smiled at me. Hanami, can you get out of my bag please? He quietly asked me. I shake my head since I am comfy. He leans into my ear. Puppy, if you don't move I'll embarrass you, he whispered. I tilt my head, but then Izuku picks me up and starts to pet my ears, and on contact I started to purr. This went on for 30 minutes and every now and then someone else would try to pet me but end up getting a soft swift to the midsection. But then someone busted through the door. I am coming. I jump and accidentally sent stars at All Might. Luckily he ducked and just finished what he was saying, through the door like a normal person. He finished. I look at Izuku and jump out of his arms and walked up to All Might and transform back. Bows, I deeply apologize for the attack. I'm a little jumpy, so please don't forget that. I quietly apologized. Sorry for scaring you, young Fuji. But now it's time for heroics class, he shouted. He turns to the class. Now before we start, he pushes a button and cases come out of the wall. Grab your seat number and go change, he said with a giant smile. I walk up and grab my seat number and walk towards the changing rooms and go in a stall since I felt exposed around these girls I don't even know yet. I finished changing and I was happy with the results. After I changed I saw a bonus item with a note. It was a mini skirt, bow, brush and collar. The note saying, get someone to help you put it on and you'll be able to speak in your form. The second time you wear it with your costume it will fuse with it, so don't worry, you won't need help the every time. And I got the spy cameras and microphones inside of the accessories like you asked, and also the GPS and the trackers are embedded into the bows. And shoes, remember, go plus ultra. P.S. I was able to get the gun for you. From Principal Nizu. I smile. He found a way to embedded trackers and get the gun, so I transform and grab it and the letter in my mouth. I wait for the girls to come in and finish changing. Then I unlocked the stall with my head and walk up to Momo. She looked at me for a second before speaking to me. Oh Fuji-san, what can I do for you? She said with a smile. I dropped the letter and accessories and brush, then let her pick up the letter to read, and after She finished. She had literal stars in her eyes and she grabbed the brush. Fuji-san. That's very smart. SH praised me for some reason. What's very smart? I heard a voice behind me. We turn around to see Uraraka Momo picked me up and started to brush my fur down. Well, Fuji-san here has 3 to 5 tracking devices on her costume, and in her bows there's spy cameras and microphones embedded in them. Wow, that's smart, Fuji. Oh boy, I'm loving the praises I purr as Momo finishes brushing my fur and helps me put the rest of my costume on. Pretend that her EV form is wearing this with her eye color. As soon as she clips the bow collar, I felt weird for a second before I snapped out of it. Thank you, bye, I said, and then I ran out the door to where my classmates were, so I got lost after I took a wrong turn. But then I was picked up. I look up to see Momo. Fuji-san, don't run off like that. I was worried you would get trampled, plus you went the wrong way, Momo said with a worried voice. Sorry, Momo-san, I said to her. She then smiled. Just call me Momo, Fuji-san, I smile back. Then would you take the honor of calling me Hanami? I asked her since I needed a friend besides Izuku, and she seems like she can keep secrets, of course. She looked so happy. She stops walking and I see we arrived, but when my eyes land on Izuku's costume, I started giggling at how obvious his costume was. What's funny, Hanami? I heard someone say behind us, Momo, and I turned to see Izuku smiling at us, but I know that smile is a shush and quiet or I'll embarrass you smile. Ah, there you are, Midoriya. Here's the little star. She got lost in the halls. She started to giggle at the fact that I got lost. He raised a brow and took me from Momo. Thank you, Yaoyorozu, he said with a smile. No problem, Midoriya, bye. Then she walks off. So why were you giggling? He asked me while holding me up by my front legs. Well, you're so obvious it funny, I replied, giggling a little. Shush, Yuke. He bonked me in the head gently, so I jump on his head to lay down on his hair because it's fluffy until someone approached Izuku. Hey Mito bro. I look up to see Kirishima and the alien girl. I think her name's Mina. Ah yes, Kirishima, he said looking at him. I was wondering how long you have known Fuji. He asked why. He looked at Kirishima with a small smile. Well, she's literally just plopped down on your head and is always relaxed around you, and she doesn't really talk to anyone but you, Mr. Aizawa or Momo, Kirishima said while pointing at me. Well, you have to let her come to you on her own records, he replied bluntly. Man, I hope she hurries up because she is slowly killing Mina, he said looking at the girl who was talking to the invisible girl. I look over to Kirishima, shocked. How am I killing her? I haven't been near her. I jumped off of Izuku's head and ran over to All Might. All Might, Kirishima said that I'm slowly killing Mina. How do I stop killing her? I asked him, scared to kill a classmate. He looks at me like I was insane until Izuku ran over and picks me up. Sorry, apparently she doesn't understand figures of speech, Izuku said looking at me while I looked into his eye. OH. Okay, we're about to start, so go over to everyone else, he said. Izuku nodded and walked over to Kirishima, and now Mina was with him. I didn't mean to terrify her. He started to talk about how unmanly he was scaring a girl. How the heck did you though? Mina quietly shouted at him. She doesn't understand the difference between a figure of speech and a sing, Izuku said walking up to them with me in his arms. They both look over to Izuku and eventually me in his arm. Oh, you poor thing. She gushes and suddenly pouts. Why you pouting, Mina? Kirishima asked her. I'm just jealous of how Izuku can literally just walk in and she's attracted to him like a magnet. Look, she's just snuggling into you. She ain't wrong though. I am very attracted to him. Today we're having indoor battle, All Might said holding a sigh that said battle after All Might explains the rules and how to win on both sides. Alright, 𝗧𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍 boy with dark blue hair, said Izuku, then spoke up. Well, most times agencies that don't meet often have to team together, so maybe this is what it's reflecting, he said, looking at All Might. I'm very sorry, All Mights. He apologized. It's fine, young I. Now let's start drawing. I drew a blank card, so I asked All Might what it means. Well, you're your own team, so if you fight anyone you'll be alone, he said. Okay, who's first? I said, wiggling my tail and slightly jump up and down. I look up to see everyone looking at me. I tilt my head and walk back to Izuku. Why is everyone looking at me funny? I asked him, confused. He sighed but lifted me up. No reason, don't worry about it, Izuku said, looking at me. Well, looks like you're first, Fuji, 𝗧𝗵𝗲 said, looking at the randomizer. I look up to see I'm against Aoyama and Ashido Mina, and I'm the hero. Okay, you two have 5 minutes to hide the fake bomb. Begin. He yelled into. After 5 minutes later, I was led into the building. As soon as I step in the building I saw a vent, so I knew what to do. I ejected my claws and started to climb the wall to the vent. Meanwhile in the monitor room, wow, she has claws. That's so manly, Kirishima said looking at the marks left by her claws. Are we going to ignore that she's climbing a wall with nothing but her claws? Cause that has to hurts. 𝗧𝗪 said wincing at the thought of getting scratched by her claws. Her plan is to use the vents to find the bomb. Is a pretty solid plan. I hope she can carry it out. Momo said looking at the screen. She won't transform back so I can see her costume. It has to be revealing. I mean, look at that mini skirt. Mineta said drooling. Izuku then secretly smacked him in the back of the head and quickly moved away. OW, who smacked me? Mineta looked around but gave up, then focused back on screen. Izuku silently was glaring at Mineta, but only Momo and All Might saw it and silently laughed. Back with Hanami, I'm currently in the vents checking each room from above, so when I found it I used double team and sent my decoys to attack Aoyama while I get to the bomb. As soon as I was about to touch it, acid hit my side and my paw, so I yelped in pain. Sorry. She said. I jump up in the air and threw swift at her. She jumped out of the way and threw more acid at me. Your star attack won't help you for long, she shouted, running around. Soon acid is sent flying at me and I wanted it to stop, so I felt my eyes warm up and everything stopped where it was and was floating. I looked down to see a faint blue light, so I focus on the bomb and it slowly come closer. Soon enough it was close enough and I put my paw on it. When I did I heard 𝗧𝗪𝗧 wins. Then I dropped everything on accident. As I was about to move I fell over. Then I felt someone pick me up on my uninjured side. You fought well, Fuji. Mina said, carrying me. Thank you, I squeaked out. As soon as we three get there, Momo already had bandages and antibiotic ointment in her hand. Mina, can you hand her to me? Momo asked Mina. As soon as I was in Momo's grip, she sat me down on a table in the room and put some oil on my shoulder. Mina, how corrosive is your acid? She asked Mina. I don't really know why. Mina said. I looked to my shoulder to see BLD. Well, Chio is gonna kill me. Well, it burned past her flesh, that's why I was wondering. Momo said. So who is the MVP this battle? All Might yelled. Momo raised her hand while bandaging me. Yes, Miss Yaoyorozu. All Might said. Hanami is the MVP because even though she had no team, she made a plan to capture and end the fight before it started. Plus, using the vents was very cheeky but efficient. Her only fault was not noticing Mina opening the door and shooting acid at her, she stated while focusing on bandaging my shoulder. WL said young Yaoyorozu, but Aoyama could have paid more attention to her. So put young Fuji on the robot so she can head to Recovery Girl. She's going to kill me. I was soon placed on a robot and I waved at the class with my good paw. When the robots arrive at Kyo's office and knocked on the door, I realized the bandage that Momo put on me were covered in BLD. Who's hurt this time? I heard an angry Chio. She opened the door and looked at me, then paw and shoulder. She sighed and looked at me. Toshinori is teaching, isn't he? She asked. I nodded. So prepare a bed for Izuku, please. I knew was gonna break something. So you got your collar? She looked at the pink and purple bow around my neck. Yup, I replied. Well, do you still have energy? She asked me, do you remember who trained me? I bluntly said and got a whack to the head. Right, Smooch. Me and Chio were talking when the robots finally brought Izuku. I'm going to wring Toshinori's neck, she shouted, and I backed up from angry Chio. He'll be okay, right? I looked at his broken arm. Oh yeah, he'll be fine. He will just need to come back tomorrow so I can finish healing him, she said, kissing his forehead. Well, school's done, right? I asked. Yeah, you need to head to the changing rooms and change out of your hero costume, she said. I nod, hoping Momo was in there. As soon as I make it to the door I try to open it, but no luck until I was gently picked up by soft hands. If I didn't see you fight I wouldn't think you had claws, Hanami. I look up to see Momo. Momo, could I get some help? I asked her. With the door or your costume? She asked. Be both? I said. She laughs and opens the door and sits on a bench with me on her lap to take it off. I do have a question about your costume. Well, I have a feeling I know what she was about to ask. What is it? I asked her. Why do you have GPS and tracking devices in almost everything? And there's the question. I look down. Well, if I tell you, you could be in danger, and as my first friend besides Izuku that already knows why. Are you sure you want to know? Because it's a secret among very few. I asked her with a serious look. She looks at me shocked before nodding. Of course, how could I let you suffer? She dramatically threw a hand up. I smile at her. Well, I guess she's meeting you tomorrow, I said with a smile. She asked me, confused. You'll understand everything soon, Momo. Now can you take the collar off? I asked her. Oh yes. As soon as she takes the collar off, I jump off her lap and grab the stuff with my mouth and walk to the stall with my case in it. After I put up that part of the costume, I transform back and start taking off my costume, folding it and putting back in the case. After I put back on my uniform, I close my case and unlock the stall door and walk out to see Momo still there. Why did you wait for me? Curse my stuttering. We're friends, right? Momo said, smiling at me. Well, I never had any friends except Izuku, so I looked away. I was suddenly grabbed and pulled into an embrace. So you avoid the class because you don't know how to communicate with them? She had a bit of sympathy in her eyes. I slowly nod. In reality, I actually don't know how to communicate with them, so I avoided them, plus I have to care for Eri at lunch. So who am I meeting tomorrow? She asked, a bit too excited. Someone very special to me and Izuku. I gave her little info to see if she could figure it out. She looked confused until she suddenly shot up with a gleam in her eyes. Is this another secret? I nodded slowly. Meet me in the classroom at lunch tomorrow. Since no one is there during lunch, I said, see you tomorrow, I said, and walked out to get my stuff. When I got back in the classroom with Momo, I put my case back on the wall. When I felt someone's hand on my shoulder, I turned around to see 𝗧𝗧𝗃𝗏. Yes. I asked her, can you eject your claws without being transformed? She asked me. All of a sudden I flinched at her yelling and look over to Momo for help. 𝗧𝗧𝗃𝗏, remember what happened last time with the loud noises? She said to the brown-haired girl. While that was happening, I snuck out of the classroom and heard, she got away again. That sounded like Mina. How did she get out? That was probably Denki. Momo helped her. I knew that was my Neta. I giggle at their yelling festival and head towards 𝗍𝗳's office. When I arrive at 𝗍𝗳's office, I knock and waited. After a minute, and 𝗍𝗳 opens the door. Is Fuji here for Ms. Eri? He asked, sipping on his tea. I nod. Your class is still yelling about how you got out without anyone knowing. It's very entertaining, he said, grinning. Sorry about that. I scratched my head. Oh, it's enjoyable for me, he said, pulling a bag of popcorn from his desk. Where's Eri? I asked him. With her dad, he replied, grinning. My cheeks were getting hot. You mean I snuck her for nothing? I asked him. No, I needed to talk to you, he said seriously. I nod and sit down, and he hands me a box. I had some things fixed for you and Eri. You'll need to go to Recovery Girl to pick up Eri, and since he is still loose, we made you a tracker for yourself, 𝗍𝗳 said with a smile. I open it to see a feather earring and some hair clips. I raised my brow at him. I drew these. But the feather earring needs to be a little bigger. Ignore the random purple blob. I thought you would feel safer walking around with a tracking device connected to the teacher's 𝗧𝗵𝗃 on you. It will notify us if you flick your ears at least 5 times or in a frenzy. And each one of them has a microphone embedded in it. Then there's a feature when you can call someone and no one will have any clue. All you have to do is say call, then add who you want to call, and it should show where you're at through a call, he said, holding a long piece of paper that probably had everything this tracker could do. I smiled at him. Thank you, but my ear ain't pierced. How am I going to put it on? I asked, confused. Recovery Girl will help you with that, so go pick your kid up, he said, and I smiled and pick up the box. Thank you, 𝗍𝗳, I said and bowed. No problem, kid, have a nice day, he said as I close the door and head to Kyo's office. When I get there, I knock 3 times and enter to see Izuku playing with Eri as she colored his cast. Mama, she yelled and sat up and glomped me. Hey Hanami, what's the box for? Izuku asked me. I hold up the feather earring. Some disguise trackers for me and Eri to wear when we walk around in the city, I said, but your ear ain't pierced. Izuku looked at me almost as confused as I was. Not right now, it ain't. We look over to see Chiyo with some ice and a needle, which made Eri flinch, so Izuku blocked her vision. Chiyo, do you know what you're doing? I asked her calmly. Shush you. And yes, I know what I'm doing. She rolls over to me and holds ice onto the tip of my ear. Keep this on your ear until you can't feel it, and then I'll put a needle through it and attach the earring, she said, rolling back to her computer. After about 30 minutes, I couldn't feel tip of my ear. Chiyo, can you do it now? I asked her, and she looks away from the computer. Of course, dearie. She grabs the needle and the new tracker earring and looks over to me. If you look, you'll still feel it, she said. So I look over to Izuku and decided to distract myself and talk to him. Tomorrow Momo is gonna meet Eri, I said. Really? He said, looking at me. Yup, I mean, if someone's gonna figure it out, it would be Momo, and she figured that out. How? He almost fell off his seat. The GPSs and the tracking devices I put on my costume, I replied. I felt a sting in my ear, and Izuku must have noticed because he started to talk to me again to try and distract me, plus he grabbed my hand. So what time is she meeting her? He asked me lunchtime in the classroom tomorrow. I said, all right, you're done, take a look, 𝗧𝗍𝗧 said as she handed me a mirror. I look in the mirror to see the pink and purple feather earring in my ear tip. Thank you, 𝗧𝗍𝗧, I said, wiggling my ear a little bit. No problem, now you and 𝗧𝗍𝗧 need to leave before they let them demons out, 𝗧𝗍𝗧 told me. I then pick up 𝗧𝗍𝗧 and walk to the door and open it. Right, see you tomorrow, 𝗧𝗧𝗧. Not realizing my nickname I called him slipped. Bye puppy, I'm heading back to class to grab my stuff. I nod and walk to the front door, but not before someone saw me and my daughter. I heard someone yell from behind me. I whispered to 𝗧𝗍𝗧, get behind me. When she was hidden, I turned around. 𝗧𝗍𝗧𝗵𝗃 bakugo, I said, don't ℕ me, who's behind you? He screamed. I stiffened and sighed. 𝗬𝗏. I said, unsure what to say. I'm not dumb. He was walking up to me. 𝗧𝗑𝗃 keeps secrets, right? I'm so gonna regret this. Of course I can. I kinda doubt that, but I had no choice. 𝗬𝗏𝗧𝗏 is my daughter 𝗧𝗍𝗧, I said. He then tensed and got in front of 𝗧𝗍𝗧𝗵𝗃 bakugo, what are you doing? I asked him. Look up. He turns to 𝗧𝗍𝗧 and started to whisper to her surprisingly. Okay, 𝗧𝗑𝗧, just walk away from the gate and go forward, he said, pointing at the window. I look up to see the class looking out the window, but by the way Momo eyes were twinkling, it seems like she put two and two together. I look over to Momo and smiled a real smile and waved at her. Her eyes twinkled and she waved back. Kakin, wait up. I heard a familiar voice yell. I turned to Izuku. I need to get 𝗧𝗍𝗧 out of here, but they won't pry their eyes away. I looked around, but Bakugo beat me to it. You dumb nerd. He shouted and ran towards Izuku. I realized what he was doing and smiled, but before I grabbed 𝗧𝗍𝗧, I slipped a piece of paper with my number on it into his pocket and grabbed 𝗧𝗧𝗧 and ran out of the gates. Mama, what was that? 𝗧𝗧𝗧 asked me, confused. Well, 𝗧𝗧𝗧, it seems like someone has figured out about you, I said to her with a smile. Her eyes twinkled. You mean the Anjiri boy that hit me, right? Yes, 𝗧𝗧𝗧, I almost snorted at her nickname for Bakugo. I want to see him again, she said with sparkling eyes. Well, I'm sure you'll see him again, I said. I stop when I see a familiar car stop by and roll down the window to see Aizawa, Yamada and Hitoshi. Hey problem child, get in, he said, not leaving me any room to say no. I opened the car door and put 𝗧𝗧𝗧 in the booster seat and I sat in the seat beside her. I see you got the tracker placed, he said, looking at the earring. Yup, Nizu just gave me 6 hair clips and a earring, I said, lifting the box. Who pierced your ear? Yamada asked me. 𝗧𝗍𝗧 did, but she did good job, I said. Did you get out before anyone seen 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧? Aizawa asked me. I didn't say anything. Who saw her? Aizawa said, looking at me. Bakugo and Momo. I mumbled. How? You were the first one out, Aizawa said, confused. Well, I will have to thank Bakugo. He covered 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗏 until Izuku showed up and he decided to yell at him for a distraction, I said, but I felt bad for Izuku and Yaoyorozu. He raised a brow. She figured it out with little effort. Besides, she's going to meet 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗏 tomorrow during lunch in the classroom, I said, looking out the window. I'll make sure everyone is gone except for her and Bakugo. I gave Bakugo my number, so any minute he should message me. Ding, received from Bakugo. You better explain now. Sent to Bakugo. I know you want an explanation, but I promise I will explain tomorrow at lunch. Just stay in the classroom after class. Received from Bakugo. Fine, but only if I can see the little 𝗧𝗑𝗧 again. Sent to Bakugo, of course, and besides my daughter seems to want to see you again. And Momo has get a explanation as well. Received from Bakugo. Why does crafting table need an explanation? Sent to Bakugo. Well, she figured it out and the events today, she'll definitely want an explanation. Received from Bakugo. I guess I'll wait until tomorrow then. I sighed in relief. So what happened? I look over to Hitoshi. Well, tomorrow I have to explain how I became a mom to 2 of my classmates and try to avoid the whole class from questioning me about how I escaped the classroom without anyone seeing. I slightly said with a panicking voice, well, you could just transform and jump into Midoriya's book bag or Yaoyorozu's lap, Aizawa said, looking at 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗏, who was half asleep. I look over to Aizawa. That's a smart plan, but Izuku's probably going to try to embarrass me again, so Momo's lap it is, I said, looking at a dog and its owner as Yamada drives by. Aizawa looks at me. Since Yamada was driving. Hey kiddo, wanna have dinner with us? He asked all of a sudden. Sure. 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗏 probably misses playing with you, Hitoshi, plus she loves your cats. I was remembering when she first saw a cat, I said, looking at them. Wait until she sees what we got her and you, Hitoshi said. I tilted my head, confused. When we get there we all head inside and sit on the couch. Hitoshi went to grab something. When Hitoshi came back he had 2 boxes and sat the bigger one in front of me and the smaller one in front of 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗏. 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗏, I want you to open yours first, he said, holding a camera, probably recording our reactions. When 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗏 opened her box she pulled out a brown stuffed teddy bear with a purple heart on the eye. She jumped on Hitoshi, hugging him. "Thank you, 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏. She squealed. "No problem, Eri. Now it's Hanami's turn. Go ahead." I noticed that there were holes in the box, so I opened it up to see reddish-brown fur. "You didn't?" I said. Aizawa looks at me and smiles. "We did, kiddo." I pull out the sleeping Shiba Inu puppy out of the box. "How did you all know?" I tilted my head. "Well, the day Hitoshi went to see the cats at the cafe, he saw you and Eri playing with this Shiba Inu puppy from the cafe next door, so he told me and Mike about it," Aizawa said with a big grin. I look over to Hitoshi and hug him. "Thank you, Hitoshi. No sweat, plus they were about to ship her to 𝗵𝘃𝗲. Really?" I looked at the puppy, her green and blue eyes looking around. "Yup, so treat her right. We already got her stuff from the place. She's about 1.5 months old and potty trained, so just put a doggy door in your back door," Hitoshi said, grinning. I hugged them both, and Eri decided to join the hug. "I promised to take care of her," I said. They then nod and hand me some papers. "She is your dog, so first step is to give her a name," Aizawa said as he pat the pooch's head. "She didn't have a name." I questioned. "Nope. So what is her first and forever name?" Yamada said. I feel wiggling in my arms, so I hold her up. "Aki, your name is Aki," I said as Aki barks and her tail started to wag. "So why Aki?" Yamada asked me. I turned to Yamada. "Aki means autumn or bright, and her fur reminds of autumn leaves, and her spirit is very bright," I said, looking at her brownish-red fur. "So welcome to the family, Aki," I said, holding her up. "Bark." We all sat down and ate. After Eri finished, she played with Aki and Hitoshi. After an hour of playing, Eri was passed out on the couch, and Aki was running circles around Yamada. "I guess I should head back and put Eri to bed," I said, looking at the sleeping girl who was face flat against the couch. "Want me to?" Hitoshi asked me. "Did they give Aki a collar?" I asked him. "A old rusted one with a old leash, but it should works," he said, holding it up. I grabbed the collar and put it on Aki and snapped the leash on. "Well, I will see you tomorrow, Aizawa-sensei," I said, and Aizawa turned to me. "Kid, call me Shota after school," he said as I picked up Eri. I smiled. "Well then, see you tomorrow, Shota-sensei," I said, smiling. "Oh, kid? We heard the press got word of All Might teaching at UA, so you may wanna arrive very early like the teacher are gonna do. I'll drive you both as well," Shota said before I shut the door. "Thanks, Shota." After I left with the stuff, Aki and Eri, Hanami, I turn around to see Izuku jogging towards me. "Oh hey Izuku," I said, smiling at the green-haired teen. "What are you doing?" he asked, walking back from Shota and Yamada's with Aki and Eri. Just then Aki barks at Izuku. "I thought you had no pets?" He looked at the puppy. "Well, Shota and Yamada just surprised me with her. Apparently Hitoshi saw me playing with her at the puppy cafe," I said while walking. "Really?" he said as he petted Aki's head. "Yup, and he got Eri a teddy bear." I motioned to the bear in the bag. "So do you need help? Your arms look pretty full," he said, looking at me. "If you want to help, please grab Eri so I don't accidentally drop her," I said to him. He then took the sleeping Eri from my arms. "So how did Pumpkin get this tired?" "Well, he usually sees her full of energy, so I expect him to ask that." "Well, she decided that running around with Aki until she dropped sounded like fun," I said, looking at the sleeping Eri. Chuckles. "Well, I guess you're gonna have a doggy door." "I guess so," I said as I unlocked my door and opened it. We both walk in while Aki just jumps through the door as Izuku sat on the couch with Eri sleeping on him. I set Aki's stuff down and get her water dish and her food dish out. "Let's get your dishes out and filled." I start to fill her water dish and fill the food bowl. I then put her toys in the living room and sat by Izuku. "So who's gonna watch her when you have school trips?" he asked me. "I plan to talk to Nizu for that since he's the principal and since he teaches Eri along with Chio," I said to him. "Wait, recovery girl does too." He should have expected it with her quirk. "Yup, I can't send her to a school with him still out there. And as her mother, I will protect her until my last breath. That's what a mother does, right?" I asked him. "Well then, as her father figure, I will protect her as well," he said as I felt my cheek tingle. "I'm still not used to that," I whined at him. "I'm well aware, but it's fun teasing you, puppy," he said to me. "Well, let me go put Eri in her bed and we can chat," I said. He nodded, so I took Eri out of his arms and walked up to her room and sat her on her bed. "I love you, Eri." I kiss her forehead and shut the door. When I get back to the living room, I see Izuku just staring at a wall, having a very long muttering storm. "So you gone insane for the small time I was gone?" I asked him, and he turned around and gave me a cheeky smile. "Well, without you my life would be pretty boring." He got up and grabbed my hand. "Oh, how charming," I said. "Well, I try my best," he replied back. "I guess I should tell you to come to school way earlier than usual," I told him before I forgot. "Why?" He tilted his head confused. Well, the press found out about All Might teaching at UA, so you could imagine how that's going to be, I said with a frown at the thought of being smushed by the press. His face goes blank white for a minute, but he gets his color back. Poor All Might. He dramatically threw his hand in the air. Yup, I said, nodding. He suddenly picks me up bridal style. Izuku, put me down. Curse my stuttering. No can do, puppy. He said with a smirk. He walks to the couch and sits down with me on his lap. So what do you think Aizawa is gonna make us do tomorrow? He asked me. My cheeks were probably still red. Well, Shota does unexpected things with his class if he has one to teach, that is. I said, example. He asked me, so I decided to tell him a story that's true. Well, he once took his leftover class on a camping trip as a prize and got Midnight and Present Mike to dress up as a killer clown and a bear to scare the kids. Poor kids needed therapy after. He also said that one kid now is scared of bears and clowns. I said, silently laughing at his expression, really, what did they do? Such a curious soul. Well, he told me one kid threw rocks and sticks at them until she calmed down, while one accidentally set fire to their campsite. So a fire quirk? He asked. No, a gasoline quirk, and they had to go back home after that. They almost burned a whole forest. I said, snickering, I hope he doesn't do that to us. He said, shivering, why? Oh, you probably just jinxed it. He'll most likely throw us off a cliff now. I dramatically throw my hands up in the air. Who's he gonna throw first? He asked. Probably that grape kid. I seen the way he looks at the girl's chest, so whenever he approaches me I transform and go to you and demand head pats. I said, so that's why you did that, Izuku says, and pulls me closer so he can hug me. Why you so clingy? I asked him. Well, 'cause I want to be close to you and I want to tease you a bit. He said, confusing me. WhatIf? I feel something warm petting my ears, so I look up to see Izuku's hand on my ears, rubbing them. Now don't get me wrong, I love having my ears petted, but for some reason when Izuku pets my ears it feels different. I feel tingly and calm, no anger at all when he pets me, just tired. Insert purr sound. Did you just purr? His eyes lit up. No. I squeak out, I think you did, puppy. He then started to pet my ears again, making me melt in his arms, rubbing my head into his hand. What are you doing? He started to laugh at me. Well, I think we found a new weakness against me, I said sadly, so I could win a fight like this? He asked me with a grin, if you could reach me maybe, but most of my attacks are long-ranged, so I need to invent some close-range attacks? I said, have you tried a move to raise your attack's power? He asked me. I was thinking about a fire move. I said, why fire? He asked me. Well, I'm pretty sure Todoroki has a dual quirk of fire and ice, but he only uses ice, so that means he's best with ice, so I want a fire attack so I can burst through ice with a fire blast or a bite. I said, remembering how Todoroki only used ice in the quirk apprehension test. Why not try to use fire in your bite attack? He said, wincing at the thought of a fiery bite. That may work. I perked up at the idea. I look over to the clock to see it's 9 o'clock. Does your mom know where you are? I asked him. Yeah, she does. She said be home before 10 o'clock, but the walk is literally a minute away, so I can stay for a while and cuddle you. He said, rubbing my ears. After 30 minutes of cuddles and ear rubs I was getting tired. You sleepy? He probably saw my eyes dropping. Yes, now shush. I snuggled myself into his chest and closed my eye. After 5 minutes I felt myself being picked up and moved around and then covered up, and felt someone kiss my forehead and heard him say one thing that made me smile before I fell asleep. Good night, Hanami, I love you, puppy. He said, oh, it seems like Momo figured it out, and seems like Bakugo found out about Eri. What does 𝗍𝗃 mean about him? So many mysteries. That won't be answered until next time. By Brown Heart, White Heart, Purple Heart. Fun fact number 1. Aizawa can and will prank his class whenever he feels like it, and has asked Hanami to help him multiple times. Not really a fun fact number 2. Hanami has PTSD from the night she and Eri were attacked, but refuses therapy besides Hound Dog or Aizawa. Fun fact number 3. Hanami's tracker was designed by Aizawa. Fun fact number 4. Hanami's quirk is based off my favorite Pokemon. Take a guess. Fun fact number 5. Hanami once hid in a top cabinet in her home when playing hide and seek with Eri, and after searching for 1 hour Eri ran to Aizawa's home and started crying, saying she lost Hanami, and it took 2 hours for Aizawa to find her stuck in a bucket, and it took him an extra hour to get her out the bucket. That's how hiding in cabinets and buckets for hide and seek was banned unless someone broke in the house. That's all for now. Purple Heart, White Heart, Brown Heart. Warning: cussing, action, thoughts, texting. On phone call. Hanami's POV. I woke up to Aki liking my face, so I got up and let her out to use the bathroom while I filled her water bowl and her food bowl. I thought about cooking for Aki because I don't really trust kibble food, so I'm gonna wing her off of it and cook her healthier meals with certain veggies and chicken. I then go to shower and put on my uniform with black fishnet and then go to Eris' room to get her up. I open her room door to see her still asleep and cuddling her new teddy bear Hitoshi got her. I shake Eri to wake her up and told her to go shower. She nodded and went to shower while I made maple sausage and eggs enough for 5 people. Eri came down in her uniform with black leggings. "Mama, what's for breakfast?" She asked me. "Eggs and maple sausage," I replied to her while placing the last piece out of the skillet. She cheered. We sat down and ate. I saw it was almost 6, so Shota should be here soon, so I decided to tell Eri about her meeting Momo. "Eri, today you're gonna meet some friends of mine today during lunch," I said. "Is it the blonde boy?" She asked. "One of them is, but the one you're supposed to meet is a girl," I said. "Was it the black-haired girl that you waved at?" She asked me with a smile. "Yes, but just call her Momo when you meet her," I said to her. After we ate, we sat in the living room and played with Aki. Eri and Aki were currently in a tug-of-war match. I was watching and recording it so Izuku could see it later. "Ding, Eri, get Aki in her 𝗧𝗚𝗧𝗏 Shota's here." I stopped recording and tied my knee-high boots. "Okay, mama." Eri hollered to me as Eri was getting Aki in her 𝗧𝗚𝗧𝗏. I went and opened the door to see Hitoshi, Shota, and 𝗵𝗏𝗏. "You all hungry? I made extra." I asked them. They each take one from the counter, and soon Eri came down with Aki 𝗧𝗚𝗧𝗏 and leash clipped. Hitoshi raised an eyebrow. "You're bringing her?" "Well, no one is here to watch her, and I don't have a doggy door installed yet, so I'll leave her with Eri and take her with me when Eri meets Bakugo and Momo," I said, closing the door. "Well, Nizu will probably just pet her all day with Eri until she practices her quirk," he said as I buckle Eri into her booster seat. Shota then decides to speak up. "How's her quirk progress?" he asked me. "Well, she can now rewind 2 to 3 broken bones until she gets tired, but now she can shut her quirk off on her own," I said, proud of her accomplishment. "Really?" Shota looked at Eri, who was hugging her plush Hitoshi got her. "Yup, we tested it, and after 2 minutes she was able to shut her quirk off, so I gave her some apple slices and she went back to her room to play with her toys," I said, smiling. "Well, if problem child ever breaks his bones again, I'll send him to his daughter," he said, smirking. "We all know Izuku can't control his quirk, so until he does he'll break his bones," I said. Then 𝗵𝗏𝗏 spoke. "So poor recovery girl will have to fix him up each time. I'm afraid of that lady. Sometimes I saw him shiver at the thought of a angry recovery girl. I've experienced it, and it's terrifying." I smile at remembering last night. "Well, Izuku did say 2 things last night and I need some advice," I said to Shota. "Shoot," he said. "Well, I wanted to try and make a fire attack combined with my bite attacks," I said. "Why, you already have so many attacks?" 𝗵𝗏𝗏 screeched. "Well, Todoroki most likely has a dual quirk of fire and ice, but he only uses his ice, so I want a fire move so I can destroy ice or anything in my way," I said, thinking about how he used his quirk during the quirk apprehension. Izawa popped into the conversation while I buckled up. "At least you observed your classmates enough to know that, and if you made a fire attack you could probably beat him with your training, but you would still need a water attack for his fire side if he ever uses it," he said. "I guess, but I was thinking about psychic," I muttered. "Psychic?" 𝗵𝗏𝗏 asked me, confused. "I saw the recording of your fight and you must be talking about that new ability. It's like telekinesis, but smoother." Shota said. "Yup, but I was thinking, do you think I could move attacks away from me like a bullet or pick up opponents?" I said, thinking about the possibility of moving bullets with psychic, the picking up part most likely, but the bullet, that would be dangerous to practice unless we shoot Nerf bullets at you. Shota said. I really wanted to try it again, so I started to focus on a origami dove in 𝗵𝗏𝗏's hand. I felt my eyes warm up and the dove started floating around the car. Shota used his quirk in time and I was very glad, or I would have another ruptured eardrum. "How it flying?" 𝗵𝗏𝗏 screeched. Hanami, your eyes are glowing," Hitoshi said with a bit of shock in his voice. 𝗵𝗏𝗏 turns in his seat to see if he was telling the truth. "Holy cow, Shota, her eyes are glowing." "Well, it seems like Hanami can use her abilities when she ain't transformed. Did you know about this?" Shota asked me with a raised eyebrow. I shook my head. "I tried this a month ago and it didn't work." "Your quirk is so cool, mama," Eri said with a smile. "Thank you, honey, but if I ever figure out how to heal, then your dad won't be a bone breaker that much." I turned my head back to Hitoshi. "What do I do if a boy says he loves me?" I asked him. He almost choked on his food when he swallowed. He was staring at me with wide eyes. Where did that question come from?" he said with a weird aura around him. I almost fell asleep on Izuku, but I stayed up just so I could just cuddle on top of him, but I think he thought I fell asleep on him, so he took me to my room and covered me up, then kissed my forehead and said he loves me. I mumbled quietly. Hitoshi just stared at me with wide eye. All I can say is to follow your heart. Shota decided to butt in with some good advice. Remember that kid would never joke around about loving someone, so when you see him just whisper it in his ear and walk away, then turn to see his reaction. He said. I nod and noticed that we arrived, so I used psychic to unbuckle Eri and pick up Aki. You're already used to it, kid, but you may want to put Aki down. I'll take them to Nizu since I need to talk to him. He said okay. I handed him Eri and Aki's leash to him, but I want you to sneak into the class undetected and write a note to Momo with psychic. Then give the class a good scare. If you can do it, I'll give you a bonus grade. He did his signature grin. I nodded. Okay, I want to test something anyway. I transformed when I got to the school ventilation system. I kinda forgot about the reporter and how early it was, so let's just say they used a back door and everyone else arrived early, and I focused on myself and feel my eyes warm up to see I'm floating, so I float up to the vent and move it, but not before waving at the camera beside it. Now that I was in the vents, I try sensing for my classmate auras, and when I find them I walk down the vent until I can see my classmates talking, so I look down to see I was above Momo's desk. I grinned and focused on the pen at her desk and wrote a message to look up and put a pillow on her desk. After she realizes there's a note, she reads it and looks up and smiles at me. I wave at her with my and motion to be quiet as I try to open the vent. While I did that, she made a purple pillow and laid it down on her desk. When I got the vent open, I plopped down on the pillow and then quickly jumped into her lap. So for the only one that noticed me was a girl with earphone jacks and Todoroki. Momo looks at me and starts whispering to me, "Did Izuku-sensei tell you to do this?" She asked me. I nod, glad she caught on, and I picked up the pen and started writing. I need to make a big sound to finish my task. Can you make me a trumpet my size? I saw a glint in her eyes and she nodded. Then her legs started to glow and a little trumpet with a strap came out and she strapped it to me. "Whenever you are ready, just blow," she whispered. I nod and waited for Izuku to come in. As soon as Izuku came in and saw me, he smirked, but after 5 minutes of them not noticing him, he nods and covers his ears. Insert loud trumpet sounds. Almost everyone jumped except for Bakugo, Momo, Shota, Todoroki and Izuku, who saw me last minute. "Thank you, Fuji-san, now get to your seat," he said with a smirk. I nod and hop off Momo's lap after she unstrapped the trumpet and jumped onto my seat and transformed back. "How did she get in here?" Denki yelled while pointing at me. I just tilted my head. Momo then looked over to him and started to explain. "She dropped in from the vent writing a note telling me Izuku-sensei told her to sneak on and scare everyone," Momo said with a grin. "Only Todoroki, Midoriya, and Jiro noticed her," Izuku said with disappointment in his voice. "I only noticed her because I heard her moving in the vent," Jiro said, scratching the back of her head. "Next time be prepared for worse," Izuku said with his signature smile. "Next time?" The class yelled in disbelief. Kirishima turned to me. "So when did Izuku-sensei ask you to do it?" He asked me. Everyone then turned to me waiting for an answer. I was walking down the hall and saw Izuku-sensei, and he walked over to me and asked me to do this as a bonus grade. I turned to Izuku-sensei. "How did I do, sensei?" I asked him. "Fairly good, keep it up." He put a thumb up. I smiled and nodded. "I saw everyone's matches yesterday." Izuku looked over to Bakugo. "Bakugo, you have talent, but you act like a kid. Don't screw it up," he said. "I know, sir," he huffed out. "Midoriya, you ended the fight with another broken arm. I don't want to hear you can't control it because you need to learn how to control it. Got it?" "Hi, Izuku-sensei," he said. "Now class today will be a bit different." Everyone tenses, but then he said the most normal thing for a class. "It's time to pick a class president and vice presidents," he said. Momo's hands glowed for a second and she dashed up to me and put earplugs in my ears so I couldn't hear anything. Izuku used his quirk to silence them and said something I couldn't hear. I tilt my head and looked to Izuku. When he nodded, I took the earplugs out. "Thank you, Momo and Izuku," I said with thankfulness in my voice. They both nod, then turned back to Izuku. "We should put it as a vote." Ida practically screamed. "If that's okay with you, Izuku-sensei?" Ida asked him with his hand movements. "I don't care what you do, just get done before class ends," he said, slipping into, "Okay, everyone write a name on a piece of paper and put it in the box. Can someone take tally points?" I raised my hand. "I'll do it." I feel my eyes warm up and some chalk starts to float and move around, also accidentally hitting Izuku in the head. "Since when could you do that?" he yelped, hiding under his desk. "Since today." I tilt my head. "I accidentally did it and got used to it pretty quickly." I added in while tallying votes after the votes were in. Izuku was the president while Momo was vice president. Now can our president and vice president come up here and stand for us? Aizawa asked them when they both got up there. Momo was standing still while poor Izuku was trembling like a leaf. After they finished I noticed that it was lunchtime. Alright, when we come back after lunch we will assemble the student council. Bakugo and 𝗧𝗂𝗧𝗏 and Fuji-san, could you stay here while I go grab something? Aizawa said while looking at me. We all nod and they both face me waiting for explanation. So I know you both want an explanation about yesterday, and Momo, I know you want to know about the 4 to 5 trackers I have embedded into my hero suit. I said, trying not to stutter. Trackers? What the hell do you need 4 to 5 trackers for? Bakugo shouted at me, and you better watch your mouth when she gets here. I glared at him as I started to release my aura to try and scare him. They looked confused until the door opened and Aizawa came in with Eri and Aki. I brought them. Now you have around 50 minutes to explain. Then he left, probably to take a nap. Mama. Eri runs up to me and hugs me. Hi sweetie, let me introduce you to Bakugo and Momo. I then turned to them, and you two meet Eri, my daughter. When I turned around their faces were full of shock, but Bakugo was able to mask his pretty well. I thought you were joking about her being your kid, he said, looking at the girl in my arms. Nope, I adopted her after I saved her. From who? Momo looked at Eri with gleaming eyes. I look into their eyes with a serious look. We don't know his name. All we know is he's called Overhaul by Eri, and he has brown hair, amber eyes, around 170 cms, and wears a bird plague mask. He was using Eris for something, but then she escaped, and then she ran into me when I was grocery shopping, I said. I then gestures to Aki, who was sitting on the pillow. Momo made with a big grin. This is Aki, and I just got her yesterday. She was a gift, so I guess she can stay. I looked to the pooch who was rolling around. Wait, are you just going to skip over the fact that you just told us you have a effing kid? Bakugo almost screamed at me but remembered Eri. He kept his voice low. I tilted my head. I'm guessing this is a secret? Momo asked. I nodded. Only Aizawa-sensei, present Mike, 2 second years, Izuku and Principal Nizu know about Eri. I informed her. How did the nerd know before me? He rages like a dog. Mama, where's Papa? She looked around the room. I feel my cheeks turn warm and tingle. Eri, Papa is at lunch. He couldn't make it today. I said to her, oh, who's the father figure? Momo asks me nicely, so I gave her some hints. Well, he has green hair, emerald eyes, symmetrical freckles that shape diamonds, and he's in our class, and he has a bone-breaking habit that I need to beat out of his brain. I said, giggling, you mean Midoriya/Deku? They shouted, did you all not notice him bringing extra food to the rooftop? I asked them. Now that you mentioned it, he had acted weird, and this is why you deny to eat with the girls. Momo looked at me. Well, not really. After the first semester I planned on introducing Eri slowly to the girls of the class, but you two figured it out before then, I said, looking at them. Now my face turned serious. Now Bakugo, if you want to stay with us for the next talk you can, but if you hear this you're technically a target. I warned him. He nodded. Well, get on with it. He said. I put Eri in my lap while Aki went to Momo and nudged her hand, demanding pets and hugs. Well, a few months after I rescued Eri, I figured out someone was after me, but not who it was. I said, looking down. What? They both shouted. I wiggle my left ear that has the feather earring. I got a tracker placed in my ear, and Eri's this little hair clip. I pull out a leaf-shaped hair clip out of her hair. They both have microphones, cameras, and GPS trackers in them, so the heroes can find us. The only thing that activates it is if I flick my ear 5 times or in a frenzy. I said, any questions? I asked them, well, why is someone after you? Momo asked me, confused. My quirk is special. I flicked my tail and stars come out, and then I focus on them and they start moving in circles around the room. As you can see, my quirk is evolving and it has something to do with my DNA and cells, but my quirk is technically a mutation, but I can use different abilities and transform my body. Something people would kill for this ability. I said, shivering. Why would someone kill for that? Bakugo was surprisingly calm, asking this. Like I said before, something about my cells and DNA. From what I know, I'm like Eri, I said. But your quirks are different? Momo looked confused. No, Eri's quirk is a mutation. Both her parents didn't have any rewind or time quirks in their family. They were able to figure out who her parents were, but in this book both are dead, so what about it? Bakugo almost screamed. My family didn't have heteromorphic quirks, neither on my dad's side or my mom's. I was born with my ears and tail, but they still loved me. I informed him. Momo pops in. Well, I've heard that happens sometimes, but it's very rare, she said. Yeah, rare enough for people to hunt their parents down and sell them on the black market, I muttered. Wait, you mean that? Momo looks at me in shocked. My parents were killed and I'm doing my best to lay low, but soon I feel it won't be an option soon, I said with a sad tone. So that's it? If I think of anything else I'll let you know, and here's my number, Momo. I hand her a piece of paper with my number on it. Thanks, Hanami, she said with a smile. I handed her a key. Could you remake it twice? I asked, hoping it worked. She nodded and made 2 keys. Now there's a room on the roof if you ever want to visit me and Eri at lunch. Just knock twice and say your name. If I'm not there, Eri will answer if she knows it's you, I said, gesturing to her. So you want to eat with us? I asked them. Well, since the 𝗧𝗃𝗧𝗏 has been staring at me with starry eyes for the past 5 minutes. Sure, bakugo said. Mr. Boom, what's your quirk? Eri asked him. Bakugo turned towards Eri and makes a tiny crackle from his palm. Explosions, he said, smirking. Wow. Eri had stars shining in her eyes. I turned to Momo. Let's eat, class will start again in about 30 minutes. Momo nods. When we all start eating, the announcement went off. Warning, level 3 security breach. I lifted Aki in the air and grabbed Eri. I'm going to pick our classmates up and I'm sending them here while I head to Recovery Girl's office to put them there since 𝗍𝗍 wanted them there after they met you, I said. And Bakugo? I turned to him. What? He yelled, look at Izuku and say code pink. I told the usually Anjiri blonde. They nodded and I focused on my classmates' auras and forced them up off the ground. I did hear a few screams, so I threw Ida at the exit sign. When I got to Kyo's office, I knocked twice and entered to see Chio on her computer. Just put them on the bed and hurry back to class, she said with a smile. I nod and hugged Eri and pat Aki on the head and ran towards the classroom. When I got back, I could hear screaming, so I just transformed and moved something on Aizawa's desk, and he slowly opened the door and picked me up and put me under his desk. Just stay there for now and let them scream if you want. Just walk up to Todoroki or Midoriya. They most likely won't say anything, Aizawa said with humor lacing his voice. I nodded and decided to go to Todoroki first because Izuku probably won't let go after the security break. I noticed he's right by Momo's desk, so I walk up to him and quietly squeak at him while pawing his foot. He looks down and his eyes go to Aizawa, which was staring at him. So Todoroki lifted me off the ground and put me on his lap, so I got a little bit smaller so I could fit under his desk. It was fun for about 10 minutes and then Bakugo noticed me and motioned to come to him. I waved bye to Todoroki with my tail and sneaked up to the front where Bakugo was, and surprisingly he carefully picked me up and quickly threw me at Izuku like a football. He luckily caught me, and Izuku must have been aware of this because he had a cheeky smile on his face. Hello, puppy, nice of you to drop in. He buried his face in my fluffy neck while holding me up by my front legs so I couldn't escape. Mito bro. That's a nice looking fluffy pillow, can I feel it? Kirishima asked him. Well, that not up to me, it's up to the pillow. He lifted me up like a literal pillow. He looked confused until I decided to make myself known. I look up with a cheeky grin. She was here the whole time. He screamed out loud. Everyone turns to Izuku's desk and starts yelling at him. Then Todoroki spoke up. She actually was brought in by Sensei and he put her under his desk just for her to sneak to me. Then she went to Bakugo and he threw her at Midoriya and he was just snuggling her. Todoroki said in a bored voice. They turned to the 3 mentioned and started yelling at them. Well, Todoroki just walked off while I tried to sneak away but was grabbed by the scruff. I looked up to see Izuku. You're not escaping this time, you're gonna suffer with me. He held me up to his face, grinning at me. I decided to do something that would shock everyone. I liked his cheek, also known as a puppy kiss. When he loosened his grip, I jumped on his head and then the grape kid screamed, "Give me a kiss, Tooch." He screeched. He then tried to take me off Izuku's head, but surprisingly Bakugo grabbed him by the foot and threw him out the door like a bowling ball, and then girls started to cheer. F for respect raised fist. Ida then stood up. Bakugo, please refrain from throwing your classmates out the door, waving his hands up and down, and let him assault her. No thanks, Bakugo practically mumbled. I just sit on Izuku's head and then plop down on his head, enjoying the quietness. Oh Fuji bro. How does it feel to be small? Kirishima asked with a tilted head. I make a pen float and started to write down what it feels like to be small and big. Oh, so it doesn't bother you? I shake my head and then the bell rings. See you all tomorrow, and could you stay for a bit, Midoriya? And Fuji, can you go get me some coffee from the teacher's lounge? Aizawa asked me. I nod and transformed back, then head to the teacher's lounge. When I got there, I knocked on the door and Nomuri answered it. What can I help you with? She asked me, smiling. Aizawa wanted me to get him some coffee. Is there any? I asked her. No dear, he keeps his coffee hidden from us, but here's some regular coffee, she said, and hands me a coffee. I nod and float the coffee cup so it won't spill. You learn to use your abilities without transforming. She cheered. Yeah, but I need to get Izuku-sensei's coffee to him now, by Ms. Midnight. When I reached the classroom I saw Izuku and 𝗧𝗱𝗃 just staring at each other until Izuku bowed. I'll take good care of her. He said, you better kid, because she's here. He turned around and grabbed the floating coffee and started to drink it while walking out. Well, Izuku, wanna have dinner with me and 𝗧𝗍𝗃? I asked him, are you offering? He looked at me and smiled. Yep, now let's go get 𝗧𝗍𝗃. I dragged him out of the classroom. We headed to the nurse's office to pick up 𝗧𝗍𝗃, knocking. Come in. We entered to see Chiyo closing her desk drawer and Aki sitting next to her. I'm here for 𝗧𝗍𝗃, I said, closing the door. Oh, she's in the drawer I cleaned out to hide her in, Chiyo said with a smile. I nodded and went to her desk and started to giggle. Oh, 𝗧𝗍𝗃, I sang out. The drawer slowly opens and I see two red eyes. Mama. She got out of the drawer and jumped at me. Oh, well, tonight Papa is going to join us for dinner, so what do you want to eat? I asked her. She put her little hand on her chin. What about Papa's favorite? She asked me. So katsudon. I asked her. Yeah. She cheered. I turned to Izuku to see him grinning, and he picked up 𝗧𝗍𝗃 and put her on his shoulders, holding her legs so she didn't fall. Well, Pumpkin, ready to go? He asked her. Yeah. 𝗧𝗍𝗃 said, smiling. Before they could leave I grabbed the back of Izuku's uniform. Not yet, I still need to head to the store to get ingredients for dinner. I hand Izuku a key to the house. Take 𝗧𝗍𝗃 home and get her to change into her onesie, and I will go get some groceries. I told him, are you sure you don't want me to get them? He asked me. I'm sure, plus it gives you time to bond with 𝗧𝗍𝗃. I pointed out. I guess you're right, but if you need help just call me, he said to me with a smile. When we got out of UA we went the same way until I stopped at a grocery shop while Izuku kept going with 𝗧𝗍𝗃 waving at me. I went in and headed to the vegetable aisle to grab some onions, tomatoes and some other veggies in case 𝗧𝗍𝗃 wanted vegetable soup or chicken noodle soup. The only thing was I was too short to reach the sweet onions until a gloved hand got 3 of the regular onions. Need help, miss? A familiar voice asked me. I turn around to see a slim man that looked about 28 years old with brown hair and amber eyes and a mask, and I immediately recognize him as the man 𝗧𝗍𝗃 ran from, but if I panic he'll realize I knew him from somewhere. I bowed down. Thank you, sir. I really hate how they put stuff on the high shelves and don't think about the short people who can't reach them. Yeah, I understand that. Need anything else? He asked me. I need about 5 tomatoes so I can fix my daughter katsudon. She really loves it like her dad does. I said with a smile. His eyebrow raised up. You have a kid at this age? I nod. She's a little sweetheart, but with her being quirkless I'm afraid she'll be bullied and discriminated. I just hope that people are gonna be nice to her. I wish quirkless kids were treated the same, I said with a sad smile, since I know how quirkless people are treated. I'm sure people will treat her well. My kid is missing right now. I hope she returns home soon. I miss her. He said with no hint of sadness in his voice. Well, what does she look like? I asked him. She has pale grayish blue hair and red eyes and a horn on her forehead, and she's 5 years old. Have you seen her? He looked somewhat hopeful. I'm sorry, sir, but I have not. If I do, I'll let her know to go home. I said, I'm not letting you touch her. See you around, Ms. I'm Fuji Hanami and you are? I hope he would say his name. That was when his eyes lit up. I'm Kai Chisaki. I hope to see you again, he said. When I was sure he walked off to the fruit aisle, I decided to call Izawa on his cell phone. But before I did, when 𝗏𝗏𝗏 wasn't paying attention, I snapped a picture of him so I had some evidence. Hello. Kid, why are you calling me? He's in XXX, please hurry. Kid, are you alright? I look around to see him staying his distance, so I whispered so he couldn't hear me. I won't lie, I was terrified by his aura. 𝗏𝗏𝗏, and he's still looking for her. Ain't that grocery store close to where you live? I'm coming to pick you up. Are you done buying your stuff? He started to walk closer, so I needed to make him think I was talking about something else. Sensei, I'm positive that I am not lost. He's beside you, ain't he? Of course I didn't get lost. That means you got lost. I'll be there in a moment. Sigh, problem child. Thanks. I hung up to see 𝗏𝗏𝗏 right beside me. So why did you call your teacher? He asked, kinda confused. I left my notes in the classroom, so I asked if I could turn in my work tomorrow after I get my notes to finish the last question, and I'm no for getting lost. I'm really bad with directions. I actually got lost on my first day of school. Well, what kind of question is it? Well, he seemed more interested in the work than my sense of directions. Well, it's an algebra question, so there's a lot of numbers and letters, so I need my notes. I don't know why they teach stuff we won't need later in life. I have to finish shopping and feed my gremlins, so nice meeting you, I said with fake happy tone. I started to walk away and down the last aisle I needed to get some noodles from, but again I couldn't reach them. I sighed. Why am I so short? It's kind of funny to see you struggle, I heard beside me, and turned to see 𝗧𝗱𝗧𝗏 standing there with his signature grin. I'll grow eventually, I said confidently. Well, I don't think you're gonna grow anymore, kid. If you do, you'll probably be about 5-6 foot max if you're lucky. Why me? I pout for a few minutes, then his face turned serious. Where was he? He asked me. He was in the vegetable aisle, but I was scared and said the wrong ingredient. I told him, so you need to go back over there. He asked me. I nodded, my ears dropping. Well, go over there and I'll appear if he gets near you. So I went back over there with 𝗧𝗱𝗧𝗏 because I was too short to reach the sweet onions. How many will you need? He asked me. Since Izuku is joining us, I'll be making triple, so about 5 sweet onions, I said, doing mental math. He grabbed 5 sweet onions and I noticed that we weren't being followed anymore. After I paid, we started to walk towards 𝗧𝗱𝗧𝗏's car and put the groceries in the back and got in and shut the door. Yup, now let's get you back home. I'm sure Midoriya and 𝗬𝗏𝗧𝗏 are panicking right now. I paused and looked over to him. Wait, you told them? I looked over at him like he was crazy. Well, they're technically involved in the matter and will need to disguise 𝗬𝗏𝗧𝗏 as your literal kid with Midoriya now, since he's the only guy you've ever talked to, let alone had an interest in, he said. I blushed at the thought. Get your mind out of the gutter, kid. We're already back. And did you get his name? I nodded. He said his name was Kai Chisaki. I hope he gets caught soon. Era's freedom depends on it, I said, looking out the window. Me to kid, me to, he muttered as he parks in the driveway. I see 𝗬𝗏𝗧𝗏 bolt towards me crying. Mama, she wailed and wrapped her arms around me, probably not going to let me go for a while. I picked her up and hugged her tight. I'm alright, 𝗬𝗏𝗧𝗏, plus his name is now known, which means he can't hide forever, but it does mean I'll need to disguise you as my literally kid for a while. 𝗬𝗏𝗧𝗏's eyes lit up when I said that. Can I have your hair color mixed with Papa's? Wow, her mood changed quick. I'll see what I can do, 𝗬𝗏𝗧𝗏, but for your safety never say your real name to a stranger at all, I said to her. She tilted her head confused. Then what do I say then? She asked me. I thought for a minute, then I thought of a name perfect for a disguise. Say your name is Fuji Kaya, I said with a smile. Hanami? I turned around to see Izuku standing there in a blue hoodie and black sweatpants. Oh, hi Izuku, I said with a smile. You're gonna be the death of me. He sighed and walked over to me. Why? I said. Hanami, you just talked casually with a well-known villain and you're trembling so much it's hard not to notice, he bluntly said, pointing to my shacking figure. His aura was terrifying. I shivered just thinking about it. Aura? Izuku looked confused. It was so dark and sinister, I said with a frown. How about you and I make dinner while 𝗬𝗏𝗧𝗏 plays with Aki? He said while Izuku grabbed the groceries from 𝗧𝗱𝗧𝗏's car. I nodded. Well, problem kids, I'm one walk away if anything happens, so call me if she freaks out, he said as he got back in his car. When 𝗧𝗱𝗧𝗏 left, I carried 𝗬𝗏𝗧𝗏 in and Izuku carried the groceries in. We put the groceries away after I put 𝗬𝗏𝗧𝗏 in the living room with Aki probably playing tug-of-war or fetch. You gonna be okay? He asked me. I'll be fine, Izuku, I said with a small smile. Are you sure, puppy? He looked at me. I didn't respond when he grabbed my hand. I broke. I was scared. I could have been killed today, but if I panicked he would have found out about 𝗬𝗏𝗧𝗏. I looked over to him with teary eyes. Hey puppy, most people would have panicked and slipped a bunch of info, but you gave him only little info, only stating you had a daughter that was quirkless, so we just have to disguise 𝗬𝗏𝗧𝗏 until he's caught, so we'll be responsible parents and make her a disguise that'll hide her horn and her hair. I can easily say my dad had red eyes since he was never around, he said, trying to cheering me up. She did say she wanted both of our hair colors combined, so we would have to use a non-harmful hair dye. I tried to change the subject. There's your inner mother is channeling, he said, laughing. Well, I love brushing her hair, it's so smooth, and 𝗬𝗏𝗧𝗏 enjoys me braiding her hair. Well, wanna start cooking so we can put 𝗬𝗏𝗧𝗏 to sleep and then I get to cuddle you? He looked at me. I laughed at his blunt yet adorable statement. Sure, whatever you say, Izuku, I said. When we started cooking I noticed Izuku's worried glances towards me, so I decided to try and distract him. Izuku. I started to chop the sweet onions. Yes, puppy, he said, looking at me. Did you know my quirk is kinda like Eris? I said, but they're both different. He looked very confused. Not like that. Neither of my parents on either side had heteromorphic quirks in their family, I told him. Really? He seemed interested now. Yup, my quirk has been evolving to a point to where I can use it without transforming. I've been able to 𝗧𝗵𝗲 psychic pretty well. I started to make ingredients float and move around the room. Wow, so technically you're gaining a bunch of powers? He said in awe. Yup, after I make a fire attack I'll work on other elemental attacks. I said, finishing the onions. So speaking of fire, have you planned for the fire attack? He asked me. Actually, I've been thinking about how to use fire and electric at the same time. I said with a grin. Ain't that going to cause an explosion? He shivered just thinking about it. I don't know yet, but I did have a question about regeneration quirks since I did fight one before you. I said to him, wanting to know if it's possible. What about it? He said to me, could burned cells regenerate from a regeneration quirk? I asked him, well, burned cells take more time to heal, so if you burn the cells long and hot enough they shouldn't regenerate. He said while chopping some tomatoes. What about electric? I asked, well, a high voltage shock can stop a heartbeat, but it can also start a heartbeat as well, so you could possibly stop the brain from sending signals to a body, or you could restart a body, he said, and started his mumbling spree. No clue if it's true. I look over to him. Well, can you go get 𝗧𝗍𝗧 while I set the table? Sure. While he went to get 𝗧𝗍𝗧, I finished up the 𝗧𝗵𝗲 and set the table. After a bit 𝗧𝗍𝗧 came running down the stairs. 𝗧𝗍𝗧, don't run down the stairs, you could fall, I chided her. Sorry mama, she said, slowing down. It's okay, just be careful, I said, and placed her bowl in front of her, and Izuku joined us and we ate. Mama, how are we gonna hide my horn? 𝗧𝗍𝗧 asked, touching her horn. I was thinking using headbands or your hair, but first, what color do you want your hair? I asked her. White with a green fade. She said, looking back and forth at me and Izuku. That could work, we just need the hair dye and some makeup. I mumbled, why makeup? Izuku looked at me confused. So she can have freckles. The less she looks like herself, the longer it will take for him to find us, I said to him. 𝗧𝗍𝗧 cheered. I'll order the stuff later and it'll arrive by tomorrow. I said, okay mama, but is Papa staying tonight? She asked, looking at Izuku. I look over to Izuku for an answer. Well, when Aizawa-sensei texted me, I called my mom and asked her if I could stay for a little bit longer, and she didn't mind. She said yeah. 𝗧𝗍𝗧 cheered and grabbed a game for us to play. We played Pop the Pig with 𝗧𝗍𝗧 until she fell asleep. We put her in bed after a bit and I pull out my laptop and get to ordering the stuff I'd need. So do you know how to dye hair? He asked me. No clue. I said happily. How are you gonna dye her hair then? He looked confused. I'll ask Momo or Midnight. I said, well, I hope Momo or Midnight can dye hair, Izuku said as he sat down beside me. After about an hour later, I put my laptop away because I was getting sleepy. You tired yet? He asked me. A little bit. Why? I was confused at the question. A few seconds later, I felt arms around my waist and he picked me up. Izuku? I yelped. What are you doing? Picking you up, he said bluntly. He then started to walk up the stairs to my room. When he got to my room, he dropped me on my bed. When you fall asleep, I'll lock the door and head home, but until then, he pulled me close to him and wrapped his arms around my stomach. I'll stay with you until you go to sleep. After 30 minutes of cuddles, I felt tired and fell asleep. Well, seems like overhaul is early. And seems like 𝗧𝗍𝗧's getting a disguise, and I wanted bakugo to be like a big brother figure to Hanami, maybe even 𝗧𝗱𝗧 too. What do you think? Fun fact number 5. Hanami's quirk was originally going to be a quirk like Black Whip or a healing quirk, but as you can see, her quirk isn't any of those. By Purple Heart, White Heart, Brown Heart.